God fucking damn it. We planned to record this earlier in the day. It is like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
We did a different episode that required a lot of time, and we're just like, yeah, we'll get to the Brett Gelman episode eventually.
We'll probably do that before dinner.
We'll do that like maybe latest 10.
Maybe even after dinner.
Yeah, maybe. And god damn it. I can't believe that we fucking suck at managing time.
It's crazy. It's so much fun doing this podcast. And, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, but we kind of lock in. It's bizarre. And we like doing this podcast, but you know who don't like doing a podcast? It's Brett Gelman and Ari Dayan, famous Hollywood couple. It's kind of bizarre that they thought that they could have a podcast because they have nothing interesting to say. It is one of the most boring podcasts I've ever listened to.
The most for me.
Yeah, I guess I would say so. This felt the most like homework. We had mentioned that before. I forget for which episode. But other times when you watch something bad, I'm like, at least I can watch it with my friend Caleb and it's good.
Yeah.
I watched all 12 episodes and the channel trailer for Brett Gelman's podcast, Neurotica. Terrible experience.
I didn't love it.
Yeah.
We got some real Triflin individuals here. Some Triflin ineffectuals as well. Mm-hmm. But mostly individuals. Capital N, capital I-N individuals. Brett Gelman... So, like, going back to our first episode ever, and also other little, moments of conversation along the way, we've talked about him. We're not fans. Our history with him goes back to the summer of 2025, or maybe even spring, actually, when we were just recommended some reels, and we were kind of sharing them in our group chat, and we're like, oh, look at this. This is funny. And and then we made some very mild comments on his thing, like, hey, your podcast, it's really good. And then he just became a bitch and blocked us. We weren't even doing anything. And by the way, it was all bully comments. Everybody was like, oh,
yes.
Jewish, you fucking
bull. I do have to say something. So, like, we both commented something on our personal accounts, and then he blocked us, and Ari and the podcast account all blocked us.
And the Yob account.
And the Yob account, which is funny because that means that he had to click on our profile and do that specifically, which is really an extra step.
It wasn't in our bios yet.
It was not, which means they had to go out searching for that, which is why we think he listened to our first episode.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And then we had a listener in LA. This is all documented on the Patreon feed. Go over and listen there to your older brother's ramble on Grok's H phase / Gelman. I forget what number, though. I'm a little drunk. Anyway, Brett Gelman, we have a little bit of history with him. A little bit. I mean, he's seen our faces. Preparing for this episode before I watched any of Neurotica, of which, by the way, 12 episodes, it's like 6 hours of content, maybe even less, because most episodes are less than half an hour.
Some are 20 minutes, some are like 43, I think was the most.
Yeah, one or two of them break the 30-minute mark.
And those were the worst. My God.
Yes.
Because especially in those episodes, they are saying nothing of substance. Like, I mean, love us or hate us, we are always talking about something on here. We have a plan of what we're going to say, and you can get through it. They are saying nothing. There's
more time and thought and effort put into like 10 minutes of this show than everything they've done. Not that it's like we're just the best, but you just watch their show and you go, wow, like we specifically have an episode format that we do where it's like, hey, we're going to just kind of talk about whatever comes to mind. But we also know that's not always going to be good. So let's make sure to only do it every now and then. Their show really is like, it seems like they just sat down and went, all right, we have to get at least more than 15 minutes on the books here. So I'm just going to go and then you're going to go and we're going to have no chemistry, no plan, no topics, no idea, no broadcasting skill or even desire to develop it. It's just, it really does feel like you just pulled two strangers to each other off the street. And
I would agree, because one thing that's interesting is like when Caleb and I started this podcast, we really hadn't met in person a ton of times, like, a decent amount of times to like get a feel for each other. But we had like really good chemistry pretty much almost immediately in person when we started our first couple episodes. it seems like Brett and Ari are just like two different people who have never met each other before. Because there are bits that like Ari's trying to do, and Brett, his entire thing when Ari's doing a bit is like, oh, okay. And he says it a lot, by the way. Yes. I've noticed that in all these episodes. He is terrible at comedy, which is funny because he's apparently made a living doing it.
Yes.
It's one of the more baffling things of, I don't understand how you have a career. I mean, you were good playing the cuck in The Other Guys. Sure. And according to one of your episodes, that's one of the things that people talk about with, what's the bitch's name in that? Christina, yes. And apparently you get called for that all the time, and then Stranger Things as well. But that's also just kind of a thing of somebody owed you a favor.
Yeah.
In Godding, because it could be anybody else.
Sure.
It didn't have to be a Brett Gelman role.
He has a unique look to him, I guess. And, he's not he is technically famous, but he's not household name famous, but he is, to a lot of people, he's that guy from that thing, as we've talked about before.
You know what's funny? My parents were watching Stranger Things, and they saw him come up, and they said, "Is that the guy that hates you?" And I was like, "That is true.
Yes,
that is actually true.
That is the guy who got so mad that we said, "Hey, what's this about?"
Yeah, my they didn't know who it was at first. They said, like, "Wait, who the fuck is that guy?" I'm just like, "Oh, yeah, he was in the past season of Stranger Things." They're like, "Really?" I mean, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And it's just so funny. I feel like nobody really has respect for Brett. And you had mentioned something beforehand when you had watched the episodes, but I hadn't yet, where you said that you had changed your mind on something.
Yes.
And I'm excited to hear what that is, because I have not changed my mind. Oh, I am set in my beliefs.
I remember that you said that you have a guess at what I was referring to, and I'm excited to see if that's... Backtracking, I just remembered one thing. You mentioned that when we recorded, we had only met in person a few times. I think when we sat down to record for the first time, that was probably like somewhere between like 6 to 8 months after we had spoken for the first time, period. But all of it until like the spring of 2025 was all over Discord. We had many conversations, and for like hours a day,
we had talked.
We got to know each other, but it was all over distance, whatever. They are a married couple. They've been together for like 7 years. And they have the chemistry, like I said, of just strangers pulled off the street. They have no dynamic. There's, I think, I forget exactly where. I know it's in my notes here somewhere. There's like a 10-minute portion of one of their episodes where I kind of forgot how awkward, like I kind of stopped cringing. I went, oh, that's acceptable. And then it went away.
There's like one or two stories over the entire podcast where I said, oh, that's actually an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Where I said, okay, you have a reason to tell that. It is one of those things where they didn't want to make a podcast, but they thought, oh, it's easy. We can make money. You and I both know making a podcast is not actually as easy as people think it is.
It's a big investment.
And being interesting is hard. You can't, like, even if you're a comedian, like apparently he is, you can't just like turn on and say funny things. Like there needs to be bits and set up, and like you and I have bits, like our Spike Lee bit, Higger to Ligger and all that stuff. Yeah. You and I just going like off the cuff, like we didn't prepare shit like that. But it seems like they prepare something and it's just like worse than anything we could have done.
Yes.
Yeah, like you and I just had a laughing fit in the last episode we recorded, and it's like I don't know how you're that bad with your wife that you put penis in.
Stuff where he's trying. You can really feel the effort. There is a moment on the Jimmy Kimmel show I'm reminded of while watching Neurotica, where how he has that bit with Matt Damon?
Yeah.
There's a moment where it's like, I think it was when he was hosting the Oscars, and he's watching like classic movies, and a scene from We Bought a Zoo comes on the screen. And it's Matt Damon's scene of like, it's a good dream. We're going to own a zoo, which is, I think most people consider it Matt Damon's worst film and his worst performance
it's not great.
Ever. And there's a moment where Jimmy Kimmel's watching and he goes, his performance, it's just so effortful. And it's like one of the few things Jimmy Kimmel's ever done that I smiled at. When I watch Neurotica, I go, this is maybe the most effortful thing. I mean, it's lazy. It's lazy about things that I personally feel like you need to put effort into that they don't even try for, but you can see the struggle. You're just watching this guy sweat, trying to just make something of the moment. And really getting nothing from his broadcast partner.
Yeah, he realized that, like, yes, exactly. You and I, when we're like struggling for something, we can play off each other when we're just like, we don't know what to say or move on to something else. Ari is giving nothing.
Yes.
And when Ari is trying to do a bit, Brett just is a complete brick wall. I mean, he's not doing the yes and he's apparently trained in some sense in drama. He mentioned one episode he was in drama class in high school.
Yeah.
And I don't really see it. This is like freshman level, just like blocking. And it's unbelievable. Like Arya will say something like, oh, especially there's a fucking time. I don't know why they do this, by the way. They do a bit with like Greta Thunberg, because she had the audacity to like say that killing children was bad. So they just do like Greta, but she's okay with pollution now.
Yes.
And it's the entire episode, and it's like 25 minutes. And Ari's like, yeah, so I like smoking. And he's like, oh, interesting. Okay. So you like smoking. It's like, Brett, you need a little more to go off of that. You can't just be like, oh, interesting. What you can't do like they call it like the Solid Snake thing, the guy from Metal Gear, where he just answers everything with a question that somebody just said, where it's like, you like smoking.
Yeah.
No, you can't do that.
He's like Peter Griffin in that scene where they try to do improv.
Yeah.
Where
my dog and yeah.
He is like devoid of any kind of like creative spark.
Yeah.
But you can tell that he knows there needs to be one. But Ari also is just some fucking pill addict that he married. Like,
yes.
I mean, allegedly, in my opinion.
Well, I would also agree. I don't even really think allegedly, because she's talked about how they are drug addicts.
Oh, yeah. They admit
times.
to using drugs habitually all the time.
Yeah.
She talks about using pills. So it really actually, like, I mean, when I say addict, I guess that's the one thing that's like, oh, I really don't trust anyone not to be like a complete, just like litigious more than these people. So I want to be careful with how I characterize it, but in my opinion, they show signs of addictions to substances.
They have both talked about extended drug use, so anything we say about them being addicts is at least based in some truth. Yeah. But also, by the way, this podcast is entirely satire, like we say in our
That's true.
In our profile.
We frequently say things we don't mean, and this is all speculation based on our opinions of what we saw in the show. You do learn a lot about them watching the show.
Yes.
But I mentioned that before I even heard the show, and then we started playing the episodes, I mentioned that I didn't really, I didn't know too much about him really, actually, like outside of his credits, some of his credits. And I was like, let me familiarize myself with him in the like already existing media that he didn't have a hand in producing, that isn't him just talking about Stranger Things. And there isn't a lot. But there is a Larry King interview that I watched with him. It's like 25 minutes. Not on CNN, but like when he did that little like podcast kind of show,
He wasn't good enough for CNN. He was on the Larry King's podcast afterwards.
They talk in this interview. They actually do talk about Stranger Things. We're part of it. But they talk in this interview about the Adult Swim question. The ASQ. Brett, the famous like tidbit about it is that he claims that he quit his show over like sexism and racism and $1 Million Extreme and Sam Hyde and Nazis
stuff,
and they won't have any female showrunners and all this shit, right? Watching this, Larry King asks him about it, and Brett kind of struggles for a second to answer it in a cogent way. But what he does say is he says, well, they were the only network without female showrunners. And I wasn't very pleased when I learned that the like head of the network, whatever, Mike Lazo is his name, said that women weren't funny. This is a frequent, less common now, but for a while was a frequent annoying talking point in the world of comedy of like, are women funny? Are they not funny? And, people come to the defense of women in comedy by mentioning the same exact female comedians that actually are kind of like a cancer on comedy, in my opinion, like Sarah Silverman. And
there's like early Amy Schumer,
Nina Dunham and all these people. I was like, no, those are really not, or Whitney Cummings. It's like, get the fuck out of here with these. And he basically says that he didn't feel comfortable there because of this. I looked into it. Apparently, Mike Lazo did not say women aren't funny. This quote is actually not, like, no one claims he said this. The actual thing, which got blown out of proportion and didn't cost him his job, but he stepped down where it's like, there was probably pressure to resign.
People got mad. Yeah.
Apparently what actually happened, and this is backed up by women who work at Adult Swim. He said in some kind of interview context that humor, or at least the kind of brand of humor that they do, is humor that's based out of conflict. And that generally, like when it comes to the humor styles of men and women, that men tend to lean into conflict. That's a lot of male comedy is about like doing the edgy thing, going too far, saying what you can't say. a lot of female comedy is usually like observational about behavior and, you know, pointing out contradictions in people. And it's, you know, it's not like one is better than the other, but men appreciate humor made by men, and women appreciate, I would say, women are much more like equal. We're like, it's not like women only prefer women comedy. There's tons of women who love male comedy more, but, you know, more men are drawn to comedy. There are more male comedians. There's way more famous male comedians, not only because of misogyny, yada, yada. I don't even want to have to get into that.
Yeah.
That's all he was saying. And it got twisted into he said women aren't funny, which he really didn't do, apparently.
Yeah.
And he also said that $1 Million Extreme was not a Nazi show. There was this, I think, completely fabricated thing about how there was hidden swastikas or lightning bolts.
That is true. So I did follow and I did watch at the time $1 Million Stream on Adult Swim, and they say it never made it to air, but they say that apparently in the editing room, and I do have circumstantial evidence against this from what Nick Rochefort said, where they said there was like hidden swastikas, but they got like caught and they just like took them out. But then again, Nick Rochefort said that there was like a crazy woman apparently at Adult Swim that tried to like delete all the master files of everything that was like recorded, and they caught her and like fired her. So I don't really know what to believe. Like I said, this is all hearsay and everything.
Yeah.
But why? And Sam even said this himself. He's like, why would I jeopardize my own show by putting swastikas in there? Like, he was an edgy guy, but he's like, this is my like big break. I'm going to be the new, the boss at Adult Swim at the time said, you're going to be the new like Tim and Eric.
Yeah.
Like, we love you guys. You guys are hilarious.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would I just basically shoot myself in the foot doing that?
This is the early signs of Brett's extreme fragility, Jewish fragility.
Yes.
I'm taking back that term from Robin DiAngelo, that fucking trash whore. He talks about how alt-right trolls got a show with characters in blackface, Nazi imagery, and their presence on social media was too far, that everyone had gone nuts, and that he had to get out of there. And I watched this and I said, okay, I still don't believe you. I think that, and after looking into it, I think that everything he's saying is based on willful misunderstandings of what people were actually intending to do with a comedy show. Mm-hmm. Which is also, by the way, a very, like, Adult Swim, like most media, is very liberal.
Yeah.
Like, almost exclusively.
Yeah, exactly.
And $1 Million, like, Sam Hyde is, like, at least now, proud conservative or like alt conservative.
He's outspoken in some sense. Like, I will say this: I watched Extreme Peace, which is the World Peace season 2. Mm-hmm. That's I think on like what do you call it, like Gumroad or whatever, like his website that you pay for. The last episode fully like deals in like leans into just like Nazi imagery, where the intro is just. His characters are like the other people in there with like a Nazi, like a swastika tank top, and it's just the Hitler speech like "Auf der ist against," and you can tell he's just like, well, this is what people think the show is, or just being edgy. But like original World Peace on Adult Swim, which got taken off and basically blacklisted. Like the only way you can watch it is by rips online. Yeah, and I don't even know if Sam has the rights to it anymore because he made it for Adult Swim. It's never going to be physical media, which I mean, I didn't expect. Sure. But they're extremely ashamed that they made this show, which is really funny because they were so proud of it at the beginning. Yeah. And then, you get Brett Gelman and you get like Tim Heidecker, who apparently used his sway to take this off the air, if I remember correctly. Yeah, there's a long recorded phone call between Tim Heidecker and Sam Hyde that's on YouTube. It's like from a stream. I think so. Yeah. Where Sam is extremely angry. You can hear he's just so mad, and Tim is pretending like he's doing like a what who me thing the whole time, and not even needing context. If you just know anything about human behavior, you can tell that Tim is 100% about talking to the network about getting the show canceled. Yeah, he's like, what? All I did was report. He's like, Sam, actually, all I did was tell the network that I had concerns over the comments I was getting by people who were threatening me or whatever. I didn't know how it had anything to do with your show. And it's like, yes, you did. Yeah. 100%. User sway. Yes. And he made like parody songs about, this is like Gamergate. He made like parody songs about calling himself a cuck or something. And it's just too gay to even like, I can't even focus on it listening to it. But I listened to that too. And I was like, okay, this sounds like a Gamergate kind of thing where it's like nobody wins here. And this is just like, I wish I didn't even have to live in the world where this kind of shit happened. But like, okay, Tim, you're officially gay and we're all in hell.
And then they finished up this interview talking about Fleabag and Phoebe Waller-Bridge and Brett Gelman praising her and talking about how brilliant she is. I've never seen Fleabag. He got a lot of good reviews apparently for being like a good actor in this show. I know that you're not a fan of her. Have you seen Fleabag?
I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes, I think.
Okay.
It was a long time ago, and this is in the time where I'm just like, I don't really remember a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But no, he's not a good actor. I really don't know how he's getting acting roles. Because, like, if you want to say that, like, Brett Gelman has, like, is funny, that is your prerogative, and it's your opinion. Yeah. And if you have enough viewers on Adult Swim, you have a show, whatever. Okay. I don't know why people are wanting to watch him act, because in Stranger Things, he was terrible. Yeah. Before this beef and everything, when I was watching, like, season 3 or whatever, I'm just like, he's, like, actually fucking bad. He's one of the worst parts of it.
Terrible.
And then after this, I'm like, okay, so I've seen The Mansion or whatever that he films his terrible podcast in, and the curtains and all that. Those curtains look expensive, Brett. So Stranger Things must be paying you a big old pile of shekels for that.
Apparently that's Ari's parents' basement. Did you catch that?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, the ones with the red curtains is like her parents' house, which they were staying in before they got like officially, they got Jew married and then they wanted to get like normal married. So they were staying in her like dad's house or something.
Or I think they're in the middle of moving, maybe something. It's like we sold the previous house.
He did sell his previous mansion when I was trying to and not do anything else to him. I did see that he had sold his mansion fairly recently, and I'm like, Brett, good move.
Oh yeah, you found his house. You found his previous house in like 2 minutes.
Yes.
We were on Discord and I was like, well, I don't really know if his information's out there, but
I was like, hold on.
And you're like, let me see. And you Googled a few things and you found it like right away.
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't like extremely public. I was like,
yeah, you didn't just Google like what is his address.
Brett Gelman house now, please.
You went, you did some kind of magic and then you're like, that's it.
I used my Aryan magic to find you, Brett.
You did.
And I'll do it again, you motherfucker.
And we recognized the balcony because he had filmed, him and his wife filmed all these reels where it says like them in their house, in their kitchen, drinking wine on the balcony, singing Yiddish lullabies as we talked about and everything.
Yes, he had terrible OPSEC. Dude, if I was fucking Hamas, you'd be done.
I also watched a TMZ interview about him talking about his book, The Amazing Adventures of the Possible Doable.
I completely forgot he had a gay-ass dumb book. That seems stupid. Do you know have you read a passage about this?
I read everything that's available for free online, and it is some of the worst. I'm not trying to hype it up and get, oh my God, bash Brett's ballsack with every ounce of... It's really just the worst writing I've ever seen in my life.
Ooh.
There is a passage, I think I can do it from memory. There's a moment in the first short story, which I think is all you can read technically. It's like a story of like, I think his name was Abraham. Yes, it was. And he's a Jewish child, go figure, who is tortured by demons who dance around his bed. And it says, they danced, enter. They danced, enter. They danced, enter. They did not smile, enter. They danced, enter. They did not laugh, enter. They danced. And it's like just a straight line down the page of... You just got to fill space,
Filling space to make sure enough pages actually fit.
The demons would taunt him for being Jewish, and Abraham would cry himself to sleep. And it's like, what are you doing, bro? Do you think we're reading this going, oh my God, he's like a tortured genius. This is like his Woody Allen thing where he is the character. He is Abraham. Oh my God. Couldn't take that. He's in the scene of Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's called the Pig Parker scene. He plays this guy who parks over the line. Taking up 2 spaces, and Larry's like, what the fuck? What are you doing there? And then Brett's like, what do you mean? And he's terrible in it. And there's an interview I saw of him where someone's like, dude, you were in Curb, and he goes, oh yeah, I'm so proud of that. When you're going toe to toe with Larry David, it's like, if I can make him laugh, I know I'm doing a good job. And when he said, you didn't park within the lines, and then I said, you're not staying within the lines of being an asshole, he cracked up, and I knew I made it. And it's like watching Tony Hinchcliffe speak. I was like, the
fakest story of all time, too. There's no way that Larry David thought you were funny.
There's no way Larry David even smiled having to work with you. He has taste, okay?
Yeah.
I really can't emphasize enough how disappointed I was realizing how many things I enjoy that he has had some part of and how it really does like lower my enjoyment.
He does have a very like large filmography where it's kind of like surprising considering some of his like coworkers or people who I think are funnier than him but have like existed in the Adult Swim space. Where I'm just like, really? You had a hand in this? You were able to make like a special? Like I watched, I think it's called like Dinner in America or something like that. And the first, my God, terrible. There's one that you have to like pay money for, which I'm obviously not going to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't pirate it, Brett, for your record, so don't try to do anything to me about that. It was awful. I realized then that this must just be some blackmail that he has on somebody at Adult Swim, because I don't see the appeal. His style of like awkward humor, I'm just like, oh my God, and we're doing this now. Yeah. And I'm talking in a voice that's very animated. Isn't that funny?
Yes.
Especially when he does the outro on his fucking podcast. I'm like, this isn't good. This hasn't been good for like 2 decades. He's an incredibly emotionally and like artistically stunted man. Everything, like he's like Tom Myers. Like I don't know if you know who that is, but Tom Myers is everything he pulls from is just like way too late that nobody can like relate to anymore.
Is he the transplant?
He's a bong hit transplant.
That is him.
Yeah,
I know who that is.
Yeah, and like everything he pulls from is like, yeah, so George W. Bush. And it's like, what are you talking about?
It's 2018, dude.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Yeah, Brett Gelman, anything that he really talks about that like people care about, especially in the podcast, are just like, yeah, so I was in high school and I was doing drugs and I was a deadhead.
Oh,
and isn't that crazy? And I'm like, Brett, I wish you would have fucking like OD'd early on.
Me too.
I do not like you.
We can say that legally.
We can say we wish that, yeah.
I wish he had OD'd.
Brett, I wish you OD'd on like the most fucking drug of all time. I wish it wasn't a thing of like, if you OD on cocaine, it's something where you're just like, oh, your heart stopped or whatever. It's very Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
I wish you OD'd on like synthetic weed that like juggalos use.
I choked on baby aspirin. Or
yeah. I wish you joked on the like dumbest thing that Okies do.
Yeah.
I wish that was your end, but unfortunately I have to deal with you fucking with a podcast, probably.
We have to share a planet with you. We have to share a country with you, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I say kind of, because you know what I mean by that. Let's talk about Neurotica. The wife. Oh my God.
The Foyd.
There are lulls. We talked about earlier, like how they don't have chemistry. There are lulls in their conversation every 2 minutes. Like they can barely stay on a topic almost ever before they both run out of things to say and are like bored with it. Watching this podcast, because I watched it. You can listen to it audio form, but it really is a different experience seeing it because there is a lot of visuals, a lot of text. And there's a lot of post work on this podcast, like more than probably most podcasts that exist.
And more that you really need to do.
Yeah.
Especially in the later episodes. I forget if it was like 11 or 12. They start doing like sound effects.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you don't need this. You don't need to do this.
I'm pretty sure there's like a Kubrickian level of effort into the editing of this. They might have been much longer recordings, and it's like, this is the usable stuff.
Yeah.
Because there are like commercial breaks, quote unquote, where there aren't commercials. This is like a non-monetized show, by the way.
Yeah,
How are they making money from it?
Because, they jokingly say at one point, like, subscribe to the Patreon, which I believe is a joke. And it leads to like patreon.com/Neurotica podcast. And I went there just to see, I'm like, oh, how much money are they getting? And it's just a different podcast that has existed for years before.
Yes.
They just said, you know what? I like, we're both neurotic. I think they've said that literally verbatim. And they said
erotic.
Yeah, Neurotica.
They're very sexual. They're weird.
Oh, they are bizarrely sexual. And we made a joke in like the other guys where I call them like Brett Cuckman. With Christina and all that stuff. And, that is a role and whatever. But Brett is a literal cuck. The way that he talks about Ari and the way they both talk about this thing, that's so disgusting. And, I'm not like really conservative, but the way that people talk about like their wives and stuff having sex before them and like, yeah, so you've like fucked a lot of dude and stuff. There's this thing that I feel like a lot of men who say that they are fine with their spouse, having a past, like sexual history and all that. But men who say it's okay, but then the women start talking about it. Tom Segura did this with his wife, Christina, where she would say like, oh, yeah, but, I got laid in high school. And you see him say like, yeah. And he kind of like looks away like with a murderous glance. Brett Gelman does this, too, where I was like, yeah, so I was in like like Tel Aviv. And there's this like 6'4" guy and we fucked. And he's like, oh, OK, yeah. All right. And he's giving like a fucking great. Like John Benet Ramsey killer glance at her. Yeah. And he definitely wanted. You can tell that he despises being around her, but he thinks that she's the best that he's going to get.
The brothers diverge a little bit. I do agree that he thinks that he's settling. He's like, I can't do better than this.
He's a settler.
He is a settler. Very good. Very, very quick wit there. His previous wife was a militant black lady named Janixa Bravo.
Yeah.
They made a movie together called Lemon that he's in.
Yeah, he had a black-ass wife, yeah.
Watching interviews of the press tour, which is also some of the only Gelman content of him being interviewed that existed already, prior to being like a more major celebrity after Stranger Things blew up, watching them talk is very similar to watching him and Ari, where with Ari and Brett and with Brett and Janixa, whenever the other one is talking, whenever one of them is talking, the other one looks terrified of what they're going to say. Mm-hmm. They are nervous, fidgety, uncomfortable, and are like, okay, don't blow it. There's like this very thick, palpable, uncomfortable tension that is just always there. And when Ari is talking, Brett is either looking at her with like the most, I cannot, like the least poker face I've ever seen, just 1,000-yard stare, and she's right next to him, and he's just staring like he looks like a child kind of, who's like really afraid that the teacher is going to yell at him.
Yeah.
Or he is staring with this big fake grin of just, oh man, I love how many abortions you've had. That's awesome.
Oh, that was the worst thing to listen to. I was like, Brett, you need to do better, honey. I did feel like bad for him at a certain point.
Yes.
And, I don't want to like talk about like too much about a girl getting abortion because there's like different things about it. But when Ari was just like completely like, up in the air about it.
Very
like
flippant about it.
With a very serious thing that most women I would say is like, oh, this is the worst moment of my life. And Ari's like, yeah, so this, guy I was fucking, he cummed in my pussy. And Brett's like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah,
I love it when they do that.
God, I love that. That's great.
That's great.
And she's like, yeah, and I aborted his baby. And there's a scene, this made me feel so sad. I kind of regretted doing this thing for a little bit, and then I realized Brett's a bad person, where she said something, she's like, yeah, early on I realized it's like, I don't want to have your children. And Brett, I'm sorry, bubby.
There's so many good moments.
That's like that one thing where I'm just like, you know what? I kind of want to give you a hug because they remind me of iDubbbz and his wife, Anissa, Jamha, whatever the fuck her name is, that also Sam
I've seen that viral clip.
Had a thing of, where he is just completely pussy whipped by her, and she is wearing the pants and everything like that. iDubbbz also took his wife's last name, which I'm okay. You're gay. That's the gayest thing you could possibly do. It's gayer than getting fucked in the ass by a man.
Yes.
I got this vibe that Brett Gelman realized that he was kind of stuck in this relationship. Not that he couldn't get pussy elsewhere, because they do talk about just like fucking random people.
Yes.
And it's just like, it's one thing you also realize early on when you become a man, where you're just like, oh, it's going to be so hard to have sex for the first time. And then once you have it, you're just like, well, this actually was kind of easy, and it's disgusting at how easy it is. And then you see like the really grimy people who are like polyamorous and all that stuff, or all that. And you're just like, well, what you're doing is actually disgusting, and it makes me not want to have sex.
You're actually a feral beast who I don't want to exist in society with.
Sex is not this thing that you should be proud of having. Britt is one of those people that just feels extremely stunted, but I feel like he is getting whipped by his wife because I feel like he feels like he's stuck. I'm psychoanalyzing him here. I'm putting words in his mouth, but I feel like he's like, I can't get out now.
When I started watching this, I had very different opinions and understandings of where they were coming from and how they affect each other.
Okay.
Than I had when I finished it. Not in the same way as you, I think. We'll talk about it.
Okay, tell me.
Getting to Ari. So Ari is the breakout star of this show. Regarding Ari Dayan, you called Lena Dunham a golem.
Yes.
Previous episode.
Yeah.
When I look at Ari Dayan, I legit feel that I am looking at like just a soulless, like Ela Klein with slightly better features, cosplaying through life as a like wannabe pop star, like Macy's mannequin leather daddy, like Adderall addict. If you can picture that all in your mind at once. Extremely bizarre, unsettling person to watch talk and react and act. She reminds me of little girls I knew when I was a kid that just always had to be the center of attention. There's kind of an innocence there where you're like, wow, you really are kind of like a stunted 6-year-old. But there's also a really dark ugliness to her personality and how just callous she is that makes you just not want to share her.
Yeah. I don't want to be too mean, but I think there's like a evil inside her soul that needs to be exorcised, and maybe through but no, like from the first episode I saw, I was like, there is something in here that is controlling Brett. I think she's a demon, whatever those are called. But I feel like she's exerting her will on him. At first, I thought the podcast was going to be a thing of Brett is like, hey, I need more money. Look at how easy it is to do this.
I don't have any friends, so my co-host is my wife.
Is my new wife, after I dumped my black wife. By the way, him and like Ari were dating before like the divorce was finalized, which is scummy.
That is one of the most awkward all of them are the awkward conversations.
They do a thing where she's like, yeah, I didn't really like it because like, we were fucking, but you were still married to your wife, which is, by the way, don't air that.
And he's like, I have issues following through with things. It's like, what? Oh my, do you guys think this is charming?
He does kind of like
sad.
Your delivery is actually quite good there. He does kind of have this, and I know he was a like theater kid type delivery where he's like constantly smiling and he thinks that like, oh, what I'm doing right now is like the funniest thing and I'm in control of the situation.
Star of the show.
No, but Ari Dayan does not miss an opportunity to humiliate him, to make fun of him, to denigrate him, and like I said earlier, this is one of the points where I'm just like, Brett, I kind of feel sorry for you, but I think you made your bed. You need to lie in it.
So that's how I felt coming into this.
Yeah.
When their first episode is unbelievably uncomfortable.
Yes.
It is called Are You Mad at Me? It is 25 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with this like always sunny ass intro where it's like somewhere in the valley, 105 degrees, California.
Yeah.
Like,
would say never never do again.
Why would
be
you
on the first recording
like,
session?
What are we doing? But it starts with like talk of how Brett is insecure about Ari being mad at him or not because when she was picking out her outfit for their first episode, he said, do you want to show more titty? And this is like a 10-minute, this is like almost half the episode.
Yeah.
Is just her being like, yeah, you're really annoying. You get on my nerves. You irritate me. You're like awkward and I hate you. Not in so many words. And he is like trying to be like, haha, we have such a lose looking at he looks at the camera every like 10 seconds. Like, well, this is such great chemistry. This is good banter, isn't it? And it's like, dude, your wife hates you.
He can't stand being uncomfortable. And I actually just want to read the stuff I wrote down for the first episode right here. The first thing I literally wrote was, wow, Ari loves to make fun of Brett.
Yes.
And a quote where she says, I could go bag 20 other dudes. Which, by the way, if your wife or your girlfriend is like, I don't need you, I could go out, even jokingly, you need no, actually, you shouldn't do that. But if Ari, you should, fuck it.
Brett.
You should not be tolerating this from the void.
No.
Something needs to happen. And the next thing I wrote was Brett thinks about her. They're so awkward. His fucking Talmudic stare into her soul or lack thereof is basically just like, oh my God, she said something bad, but I can't right now because the cameras are on. I'm going to later. And watching this the entire time, I'm just like, is a fight going to break out? Because the first couple episodes feel just like marriage therapy.
Yeah.
Because it's, Ari is constantly like, oh my God, Brett, this thing you do is so fucking annoying. And he goes, oh, all right. So what am I doing that's annoying? Just tell me right now so I can be better. And like, he's a total cuck and can't stand up for himself. Very rarely says anything to defend himself.
This is a very sneaky trick he's doing because she doesn't like him, obviously. Mm-hmm. And every time that she throws any criticism towards him, he turns it into a like playful interview. Mm-hmm. As if she is jokingly, like if we were sitting here and I was like, Nick, you know what sucks about you is the way that you make that smug fucking look every time. And I'm just inventing a thing you're not even doing. Mm-hmm. And then it's like for a bit, he tries to react as if she's doing that when she's actually talking.
She's actually a bad person.
She really doesn't like about him because she calls him annoying. He's like, yeah, you've called me annoying in the last few months more than like ever before. What's that about? And she's like, because you're fucking irritating.
And she's like, yeah, babe, you're actually so annoying. You snore and like, the dog, you bring the dog in the bed or whatever the fuck.
And and like when you're thinking about, and this is where they're just both bad because like he is clearly just someone who is like, how do you even live with him? But also when she starts listing things she doesn't like about him, she lists things that are like just out of his control. Where she's like, oh my God, every time I can tell when you're like sitting there thinking about something and you're going to like fucking talk to me. And it's just so, and it's like, why are you with him other than money?
Well, yeah, exactly. Because, Ari, I don't know what she does for work because she can't be making money from the music.
I know what she does for work.
Tell me, please, because I want to know.
So she comes from not opulent, but she comes from a family with money.
You can tell, I've gathered.
You can tell by looking at the fact that they're recording. Okay, so we're recording in my parents' basement right now. My parents' basement looks a lot different than Ari's parents' basement. Let's just say that much.
Okay.
So you already know a little bit. Her music career, she has a debut album called Sinfluencer, which is her in a skimpy red leather outfit riding a banana holding 2 emoji cherries. It's like she's trying to be like an Israeli Sabrina Carpenter, but really playing to just drug addicts.
She is the epitome of a term that has come to popularity in the past month where they call things spiritually Israeli. Ooh. Ari Dayan is the epitome of that. Everything she does is overtly sexual, but is not in a way that is sexy.
Yeah.
Like, one thing that I need to say about her at a certain point, and this is going to be mean, but I also don't care, so I'll just say it.
Sure.
Ari Dayan does not have a good body, but she's very sexual, and I've noticed this among whores. I've spent a lot of time among whores, where in the, intertitles, the cut scenes to their thing, where it's just like Brett on the bed with a t-shirt and her and her things, and she has her ass out in fishnets. She doesn't have a great ass. It's whatever. The shape of her and the way that she's overtly sexualized, it's like I can tell something has happened. And she does talk about trauma. Yeah.
She does?
So I think that she's compensating for something that happened. And like in this area, I don't want to be too mean if something did happen because that's bad. But Ari definitely has the physiognomy of being a whore, spiritually
100%.
And emotionally and physically.
What Brett really gets out of this relationship is that she is a fucking like sexual freak.
Yes.
In his words.
Yeah.
They talk a lot about sex and just weird sexual stuff they do. They discuss their sex life in like just disgusting detail at times.
Yeah.
And by the way, they tell a story. I forget which episode. There's a story they tell, by the way, that disturbed me where they're talking about seeing poor things and how it made them horny. Then they had sex in their car afterward in the parking garage of the ArcLight in Hollywood Boulevard. Oof. I've been in that theater and I've been in that parking garage. So I walked on the hallowed ground.
Oh, God, imagine the smell in that car. Fucking awful.
Picturing them fully clothed, like spooning on a love seat is already disgusting. Mm-hmm. But they get very like graphic, and they show it's like Kubrickian Clockwork Orange, like flash cuts of like sex, like not like pre-sex photos they're taking, if that makes sense. So you're not seeing anything pornographic, but they'll just flash a photo of like Brett like half undressed on a bed with sunglasses, clearly just on some kind of really powerful designer drug, and Ari like straddling him, like taking off her bra, but the camera's like back here, so you're not seeing anything.
Yeah.
They show that stuff all the time, and it's like, I don't want this in my head.
No.
You guys are kind of psychically raping me.
Yeah. Brett, you need to fucking stop raping us.
By the way, I took more notes on episode 1 than the rest, even though there were other ones that made me mad, because there were so many great quotes. They talk about signing their ketubah, which is like the Jewish "we're officially married now" thing.
Yeah.
And she tells this story about how they had a celebration and Brett would not help clean up after.
Yeah.
And that her elderly parents were like doing all of the work. And she's like, that really bothered me. And he's like, yeah, why can't I just savor the moment? It's like, do you not care about the fact that your wife is using the first 3 minutes of your first episode of your podcast to call you fat, annoying, lazy, stupid, sexist, and unfunny?
I think he has a humiliation fetish. That's one thing that I've gathered over the course of this, where there's like no way that you can let your wife talk to you this way, because the first 4 episodes, for the record, people, are the same recording instance.
Yes.
As the same background. And over the course of the rest of this, sometimes you do get like a 1-2-parter thing. But besides that, they do extremely little work. And if you're recording in an instance and you're only getting like 20 minutes of content, you're doing an extremely piss poor job of podcasting, because Caleb and I can talk for hours. But if they're only talking about shit and the only thing that they post of one recording instance is their like Greta Thunberg bit.
Yeah.
It's like, how bad was everything else? Because they do have a producer.
Yes.
And I did write his name down because it's really funny. There are some production errors in the trailer. I don't know if you noticed this. They say something because they're sitting in the unfilled pool in his like mansion or whatever. They fucked up the censor. They didn't like layer it correctly where they just mute everything, like including the background music. Like they didn't just mute him saying a swear word.
Oh, I don't remember that.
And this is something because, you know, when we're editing podcasts, because they obviously don't do this themselves.
Yeah.
It must have been like Ari's like redheaded, like, you know, stepbrother or something.
Sure.
He fucked it up. Didn't edit it correctly. They also dox him at a certain point, and they say his name, so I'm going to say it too in episode 10. They say, like, oh, Taylor, come here. And in an earlier episode, I forget what it was, they show him censored, but then in an episode after that, they show him uncensored. And it's like, so Taylor, by the way, Bubby, are you editing this yourself and you fucked it up? Or are you just fine having your name on this?
There's an insultingly low amount of effort put into things that don't even require effort.
Yeah.
And if you had any self-respect and wanting to put out some kind of consistent brand, you would easily do. There is no consistency to the formatting of the episode titles because they start out like Travis Scott songs where it's all in caps and they have like episode numbers beforehand. Eventually they just forget that. And the episodes are just like the whole video is just called like what Brett had for dinner.
Especially at the end. They also do a thing where it's like the first couple are just like episode 1, episode 2, and eventually they do episode 108. Like it's, you know, season 1.
Yes.
And it's just like there's no consistency. You need to be consistent. And the last 2 episodes are just like Happy Mother's Day part 1 of 2. It's like, so this is episode 11 and 12, or is it not?
There's some episodes, there's no consistency to the format because there's some episodes where they are like, okay, we're going to talk about this one, like all you're watching is a conversation about one topic where they go for like quite a while. And then another episode is like 20 minutes long, but it has 8 commercial breaks where they talk for 3 minutes. Like, okay, we're out of stuff to say about that. Quick cut, or, you know, because they can't just go to the next thing. I have a feeling like this show was recorded where they were like, hey, we're doing a podcast. Okay, go on Fiverr, find someone who's going to be our producer or whatever. Okay, oh, he's coming over today, babe. Okay, we're going to have to go to the podcast. And then they forget about it the second they're done recording because they don't know how mics work. They're not doing anything outside of talking into the thing for the portions we're allowed to see. So it's a little aggravating because I think that they stopped doing it based on the fact that it probably felt like too much work to them. Because like there's really no downside to continuing to do it because if you're really not having to do any work and it's not probably costing you that much, how much can it cost to pay some desperate kid to record you? You know what I mean? Like, it really only helps you because it's just more content you can put out there. You can promote things. You can get cross promotion with other Hollywood people. Like, it really actually only serves to help your guys' careers, especially with how much bad PR you get because of your stunts on Instagram. So the fact that they ended it, I think really just speaks to how like lazy and how little thought and care they put into anything they do.
Yes. They think that they deserve everything. Ari thinks she deserves a music career, which she absolutely doesn't. I've listened to her songs, all that are available.
Yeah.
Brett thinks that podcasting is easy. And I mean, I don't want to be like, it's the hardest thing ever, but there is some craft to it. And setting everything up and making it sound good is hard. You learn it the hard way. He has no respect for the craft. He just thinks it's an easy thing to do. And it sucks. It's terrible. And it's really funny because first episode of Neurotica does get more views than everything else. And also the last episode. By the way, everybody in the comments, I think, is from Lemon Party, another podcast, which I'm not super familiar with. But they're always just like bragging on Brett in the comments.
Every comment is like Ben Avery sent me here.
Ben Avery sent me very good. And, you know, I don't know everything, but that's cool. You guys are making fun of him, too.
Yeah.
But at the end, besides the final episode, they end up getting like 100 views. And by the way, this was hilarious. I didn't subscribe to them, but I always went to the channel and then clicked on the videos to see everything. They lost like 3 subscribers in the past 3 days out of like 200.
Oh, no.
And I was like, okay, well, if you're bleeding that bad, like, again, like Brett has, I think, a couple million followers on Instagram. He has an insane amount just because he's Stranger Things.
He's one of like 15 or so principal characters on like the biggest Netflix show.
Yeah, one of the biggest shows of all time in terms of like production money that goes into it.
And his podcast barely beats our listenership.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, most people are just hate listening because we were.
Of course.
And all the, like, for example, in the last one of the episodes that had like 100 views, like there were 30 comments and it's just Ben Avery sent me, you're a Jew, very good, go fuck yourself. Why don't you make more episodes?
I want to say something about this. Lemon Party is ripping us off a little bit because we have been saying, so I remember when I met our friend Chris like we just would do that. We're like, oh, this is very good. Like when we were like sending each other stuff, and it was just like parlance, like just kind of natural. I don't know if I started doing it first or he did. I think maybe I got it from him, but it just became a thing where it's like, and then in group chats, whatever, it's like, oh, this is, remember that moment where so-and-so did that? That was very, very good. And then I see this Brett Gelman comments where everyone's like, very, very good. I'm like, well, they're fucking ripping us off. They're ripping off. I mean, they're not, obviously.
Yeah.
Like,
It's they have no idea who we are.
Very common words, but I just want to say. And Neurotica rips us off too, because they do multiple moments in this show where they say, they'll talk about some topic. They have no confidence to even make a joke without then saying, by the way, that was a joke. We're not actual experts on this topic. Do not crucify us for spreading misinformation. And they'll like be like, hey, write in. They'll jokingly say, write into Neurotica at hatemail.com or whatever. And it's like, well, it's kind of very telling that you are preemptively making fun of yourself because you know that you're only going to get hate mail, like how a fat kid will laugh really hard at a joke he made about himself so that you can't get there first. It's very, you have to use like elementary school logic with these people, and then you understand everything about them.
They do have an elementary school mindset. Because they talk about how in high school, especially Brett, he's just like, I was just doing like drugs all the time.
Yes.
And I think Ari, they mentioned it briefly, and I didn't remember exactly, but I think she dropped out of high school.
Oh, I don't recall.
She says something like Brett says something, and he's just like, yeah, but you like dropped out or something, or like you just left high school because I guess she was wanted to like Gazan children or something.
She obviously
probably
bloodthirsty. She mentions that high school was like, quote unquote, too hard. They talk about high school math, and she goes, that's who has time for that? And I'm like, okay, I went to public high school.
Yeah.
That was easier than fifth grade.
Super
at
easy.
The private school that I did middle school at. I know that fifth grade is middle school, but on it, like, if you can't get through public high school, Somali.
Well, Caleb, I have to say, Israeli high school is harder because math. Let's do a quick Israeli math problem. One war crime plus one other war crime. What does that equal? It's not 2. It's 0 war crimes.
If I have to bake one pizza every 0.237 seconds in order to get 6 million done by the end of this war.
Reverse
some kind of weird calculus to arrive at that conclusion.
Ari, you are a dumb bitch.
She's terrible. She talks about high school really, really hard, and they're like, dude, what's that even about? And it's like, wow. You guys are just what's the opposite of a bright star? You're a black hole.
You're a dark chasm.
You are a complete, like, dried up just husk of a very unimpressive nut. Like, there's really nothing to get out of anything you do.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of shocked that you think you deserve stardom. Ari, you can tell, like, Ari thinks, because whenever they do their outros, they have this thing that really sickens me where they have like pornographic mugs, not pornographic, but like they have like coffee mugs they sip out of during their outros. It's kind of what do you call it? Where there's like 3D art coming off the mug, like a figurine or whatever,
Well, I don't know the word for it.
Not just a screen print, and it's like, like a naked fat lady with like giant red nipples or whatever. And it's like, do you have to really have everything be perverted and
like
gross?
Pop art, I guess.
And when they're doing that, she's wearing this low cut thing that's like zipped down, showing as much cleavage as possible without showing her fucking weird areolas. And she's like, she's moving her shoulders and she's smiling at the camera. You can tell that she's like, oh my God, the world is going to love me. And it's like, what do you think is your talent? Your music, she is abhorrently bad. She cannot sing. Mm-hmm. It is auto-tuned as shit. And most of it is delivered with this like the Canyons-esque, just no affect to how she speaks. I showed you some of her music over Discord and you were like guffawing.
I literally said, Caleb, please stop playing this.
One of her songs is called Boys Dance, and the pre-chorus and then chorus goes 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Get the feet moving on the dance floor. And then that repeats twice, and you're like, I can't do this. I said, I almost called you Chris again. I don't know why. I said, Nick, the best part hasn't happened yet. Then the chorus comes in, which is, I make the boys dance, 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 dance. I make the boys dance. Her songwriting, it must take like 3 minutes to write an Ari Dayan song.
I guess so. It's all Chat GPT.
Might as well be.
One thing I do want to say about the production, another thing that irked me is, I believe it starts in episode 4 when they have the intertitles where it's just like, them. It says like Neurotica and like this is a podcast and the titles and shit. Did you notice there's a spelling error in there?
I noted a lot of typos.
It's the Neurotica NUE band. And I was looking at that and I may just be too autistic, but I'm like, this is your brand and showing me that you're okay with spelling errors. And this persists over the course of the episodes until they do this weird thing. And I forget where it starts where they just like blur that screen. Yeah. And I don't know if somebody said, hey, you fucked up. Because I read all the comments in every episode. Okay. So I was like, wait, did they realize that they fucked it up? And there's one episode, I forget if it's like 10 or 11, where they just changed the theme song. It's
it stops being like the heavy metal. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, they get through something and it changes for one episode and then it's back to like the other Neurotica music. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, wait. I mean, you definitely made this, like, this is an actual band that made it, which is fine, because our music isn't a real band either. Yeah. But I'm like, why did you change it for one episode? Because you have to be consistent. And that's the one thing that you talked about when we started the podcast. Is like, you have to be consistent. And I agree with that. And it fucking irks me that these people think they can do the same thing.
Yeah. You have to spend, like, if you care at all, it's like you have to put in the time to think it through and think ahead of time and use, the energy you put into it. You can only expect to get a positive result if you put everything you have in, and they're putting like less than nothing in.
They're putting bad energy in. I don't like it.
Can you even picture anybody, the most person you know?
Okay.
Can you picture the most like just brain dead TikTok, most fried, no personality person getting a chuckle from listening to this?
No, because a problem I have with it is that they talk about nothing.
Yeah.
Not that every podcast has to be like completely structured, but you and I talk about film a lot of the time, or people know what we're talking about in the titles, and we do follow structure on every single episode. They are just talking about like incoherent bullshit all the time, where it's just like, yeah, so I got like an abortion and it was like cool. And Brett's like, oh, yeah.
And
yes, and you fucked my pussy, yes, and you fucked my friend, yes, and
you fucked my boner.
You fucked my boner. Can I fuck your boner, Ari? She's like, nah. Every single episode is meandering. There's really no plot to anything. The last one I think was like a Mother's Day episode in essence, but they only spend like a couple minutes on it where they talk about their moms.
Yeah.
And also it's just like, I mean, why are you guys of all people doing that? I hate this unfocused look because they are not funny people. They can't be funny off the cuff.
Exactly.
Like you and I can riff on dumb bullshit forever. Yeah. They have nothing. They need a structure.
Actually, Nick, you're totally wrong. They do have a great bit in, I think it's episode 1. Here it is. Quote from Ari, one of her great bits, one of her better bits. She said, if we're thinking that God has the same perspective as humans, God is a man. And then the text on screen says, quote, because he's doing a bad job.
Oh.
This was tired in 2014. Every quote unquote joke they make is something that killing their brain cells, huffing paint, were already past and tired of themselves.
They're more proof they're stunted.
They don't have to, the podcast, it's not like it has to be deep and intellectual.
Yeah.
But it has to be, you have to choose something, you have to choose a lane.
It has to be at least one thing.
Are you aiming for comedy? They advertise the show, the trailer, Neurotica. It's a show about us and the world, but also us. You're going to laugh and cry. It's not about anything, and not in like a Seinfeld way where it's like we're just going to talk about whatever we want, like Cumtown, and if we're funny people, we'll be able to sustain it on that. It's kind of like they hit record and then they were like, "Fuck, did you prepare anything? No, did you prepare anything? No." I'm really mad at you for not preparing anything. Let's just argue about our marriage. Yeah. Good idea, babe. It's kind of like they both lean into having the awkward, weird marriage fights because that's all they have. It's the only material they have.
It's the only bit they have.
Because what is their life? This podcast, when they're not arguing about their marriage, they're just giving anecdotes about their lives, and they've had very boring lives because every story is the same, which is like, I went to a party and we were all doing a bunch of drugs, and then my friend was like really high, but I was also really drunk. Dude, when I was at this Grateful Dead concert, and then we went to go get weed, but then he couldn't find the weed, so then we went home. That reminds me of that time after I got this abortion, I was on the roof of this building. We're not even like really leaving anything out.
Yeah, this this is literally a minute into
This is the worst
an
thing
episode
I've ever seen.
I think they realize when they press record that they realize they're just not interesting people.
Yes.
For example, it's like I'll say about myself, I'm not the most interesting person ever, but when we talk about it
again. Sorry,
go fuck
ahead.
yourself. I'm raping you tonight.
No.
When we talk about like a movie or something, stuff is planned out and I have interesting things to say. I'm not going to pretend that I'm like, ready to do stand up or anything like that. Yeah. I understand my strengths and my weaknesses. So I'm not going to go out there and be like, oh, by the way, Caleb, I did drugs and it was fucked up.
Yeah.
Because you would actually shoot me if I came in unprepared. And I would shoot you.
If our off-the-mic conversation was our podcast, we wouldn't even like it ourselves. We'd be like, yeah, that was kind of lame.
Yeah. It was bad. So we need to be better. But they really have no respect for putting anything good out there.
Episode 2 is called Beeping My Teenies. Do you remember why it's called that?
Because he had this dumb thing as a kid, and it was like him touching his hair.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not a funny anecdote.
He twists the curls of his hair, and now that he's balding, all he has is the stuff on the side to twist, and he calls it beeping his teenies.
By the way, fake story.
You are the gayest, most man for thinking that that's cute.
You are the gayest, most so true.
I hated that anecdote. I was scowling like Dignam at the end of The Departed, just fuming with rage during these early episodes. I also put asterisks every time. Whenever I started an episode that I was like, oh my God, I can't get through it because you guys don't know about this. When I started Neurotica, I watched this like way before Nick.
Yeah, he did.
When I watched the first episode, I texted Nick and I said, maybe like I'll watch one half, you watch the other half. Because I was like, I can't get through 12 of these.
Yeah.
I put asterisks next to each one that made me want to stop watching. There's more with asterisks than not. I mean, not that I liked any of them, but every time that I was like, I don't think I can do another, which was episode 1, episode 2, episode 6, episode 7, episode 8, episode 9, and 12, which 11 and 12 are really just one thing kind of continue.
Yeah.
Each of those made me want to slit my wrists. And speaking of slit wrists, Ari says like more than once that there are things that Brett does that makes her want to be dead, which is just a great thing to hear from your spouse. She says, quote, nothing makes me want to slit my wrists more than having to spend time with Brett's mom, watching her chew on her tongue. And it's like, can you imagine saying that?
If my wife spoke to my mother that way, you're dying.
She has the most, I mean, like, I can picture Brett's mom has got to be one of the like ugliest, crazy, weird people.
She's got to be a real workhorse.
But also, how fucking dare you like just show just blatant disrespect for your spouse's parent that way of like, oh yeah, I want to commit suicide when I have to spend time with your mom because I'm the star. Episode 3 is called A Better Condom.
Yeah.
Do you remember how this episode starts?
Is this the one where she's talking about the abortion? Because I wrote this down.
The first thing she says is, yeah, and then he said, put the pill in your pussy. And I said, what the fuck am I listening to?
Yeah.
And it's her talking about how one of the many times, I guess, that she's got an abortion, when she found out she was pregnant, one of her Jewish friends was like, oh, you just get this pill? And she also, it's like gross. It's like, this isn't cute to be like just constantly talking about like, and then
this
no one wants to hear that.
It's not coy and twee and I killed my baby or anything like that. No, this should be something that's private and like serious. Yes. This isn't something that people want to hear about.
No.
There's also a quote in here that I love, and I forget where this is in it, but it's in episode 3, where Brett says, quote, since the 7th, we hear about all this hatred of Jews. And I'm like, stop trying to make the 7th work. It's not going to work.
We're all traumatized. Everyone hates us now. And this is that for women. Because people, they hate women. I wrote down that whole quote.
Because it's about abortion.
That's the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then he looks at Ari for approval. It's really funny. He spends so much of this podcast trying desperately to just like say things he thinks she'll applaud at. Yeah. And she gives him nothing.
Yeah.
He's like cucking so hard to be like, oh my God, reward me.
He's like, please, babe, I mentioned I don't mind you aborted my baby. Yeah. Please. And she's like, whatever.
Brett, shut the fuck up.
And she's like, yeah, so I did coke with this shaman who I also sucked his dick, by the way, yesterday. And he's like, oh, okay.
That's interesting.
That's interesting about that.
He mentions October 7th many times in his like press tours and everything. Mm-hmm. He's constantly talking about his fear about he'll never actually say it. He'll never commit to what the wrong narrative is, but he just goes, there's just so many lies about October 7th and everything. It's like, what are the lies?
Yeah, what happened?
What's the untruths, Brett?
Speak your truth.
He doesn't know. He just knows that because he's married to her, he became this like ultra Zionist, it seems around the time that he got with her. So I would bet that most of it comes from her.
I mean, he's always been like outspokenly Jewish, which is fine. But I would agree around the time him and Ari were like publicly together, because apparently they were dating. Like they said it in the first episode. She said, "You were legally married to your ex-wife for 3 years while we dated."
It's crazy.
Which is insane. I mean, Brett, come on, get it fucking together. By the way, if I was dating a girl and she was still married to her husband, but like separated, I'm like, honey, you were getting that like annulled tonight.
And they talk about Arugula Gate.
Oh, there's like a dumb gate that nobody cares about.
Yeah, it was that time we were in Italy and we were fighting and I locked you out of the apartment and I threw like an ironing board at your head. And it's like, what the fuck is your guys' relationship?
Yes, they had a problem where they went to like Naples or something. And Brett was like, yeah, so this has the best pizza in the world. And I wanted to like, have the full experience. And like Ari was picking like the arugula off it. And he's like, well, that's not how it's meant to be.
You're ruining the pizza.
And it's ruining the pizza. You're ruining the experience. And he had a total Jewish meltdown. And then Ari's like, well, I can't believe you're doing this. And that was their whole thing. And it's just like, why are you even together? Because Ari says in episode 4, quote, honey, I love you, but you're hard to be with.
Yeah.
That is a soul-crushing indictment.
She says, it's, gotta hand her an award. She finds so many different ways of saying things that would be the defining thing that would stick in your head of like, oh, wow, that time that person who I care about or care about their opinion of me really cut me down. Like, she's giving like world record insults like all the time.
She's giving things that will just like destroy his humanity.
Yes.
If, I would have said that Ari is like a Mossad plant to keep him in check, but Mossad goes for people overseas. I feel like she's Shin Bet, which is the local people in Israel, the equivalent of the FBI there, that are just meant to denigrate Brett and just completely ruin his psyche and keep him in control.
Did you notice that when they're talking, Brett will say, he is always framing things as we, and she is frequently saying Brett. She talks about him like he's not there.
Yeah.
And there's actually a time at the end of episode 3 where they're talking about climate change for a minute. And he says he's trying to like he's trying to just sort of like introduce an idea for them to riff on. And he says something about like, oh, imagine if we could stop climate change, we create some kind of like machine that could suck plastic out of the oceans and turn it into like butterflies. It's, it's like a third grader's attempt at
the
riffing.
dumbest thing ever.
And then he gives it some steam and he kind of goes, and she's not really saying anything. So he just kind of keeps adding stuff and he's trying to, and it's the most obvious thing that he's just like, play along.
He's working on the bit. Yeah.
Try to help me. And then when he kind of runs out to stuff to say, he's just like, what do you think? Like, where it's like he had to just say it because she was not getting it. And then she looks at she looks off camera and she goes, I'm so happy that Brett's not running the world because that would never work. And it's like, you fucking dumb bitch.
You fucking bitch. Humor. He's trying to improv.
Why don't you? You don't contribute anything, Ari.
Yeah, so she's constantly zoning out.
She's zoning out. He'll be like, he'll introduce occasionally a topic, and then she's just like, yep. Anyway, what's next? And it's like, what the fuck are you here to do?
Pisses me off. God damn.
It's very bad.
Yeah. Did Britt really have nobody else to do this with? Because she is an she's a blank slate. Oh,
Terrible.
You know what's funny? He asked somebody on Stranger Things where he's like, hey, Winona, I'm doing this podcast called Neurotica. And she's like, no. Nah. I have an actual career now.
Yeah.
I was in Age of Innocence. Yeah, I'm in real movies and you're in fucking slop called Stranger Things.
Speaking of slop, they talk about fucking corpses and Epstein files. They talk about like, dude, having sex with a girl on her period is kind of like fucking a corpse. And then she's just like silent. She's like, yeah, it is, Brett. You're really funny. But like not making fun of him. Like she is like, you can tell she's like excited by this topic. Like, what's wrong with, hey, Ari.
Yeah, Ari, what are you saying here?
And then at the end of Arugula Gate, episode 4, Brett says, he tells a story about, she mentions, she's like, yeah, our first date, you forgot your wallet, and then our second date, and our third date, and it's like, you're the cheapest cheapskates. He kept forgetting his wallet and I have to pay for dinner.
That's a pretty funny bit.
He goes, listen, I don't remember that, and it's like, you would remember. If you're with somebody and now you're married and your first dates, you didn't have your wallet, that is not a thing your woman would ever forget.
Yeah.
Especially not a money hungry whore.
Yo, they're not splitting the bill in Tel Aviv.
No way.
No, the man's
way.
paying all
the
the time.
arugula was paid for by one wallet. You know,
You're getting
she's
happy
making
hour
sure he
appetizers.
brings. Yes, our money is our money. You know, your money is our money. My money is my money. That's definitely, you know, no way Ari is going Dutch.
Yeah, it's splitting the bill, going Dutch. Yeah,
Dutch,
there's no way. There's no way she actually has disposable income that her parents aren't giving her.
Yes. He defends himself by saying, I don't remember that happened. If it did happen, that was totally an accident. I will say, when I went to pick you up for our first date, I had just smoked a joint, so I was very high. And she goes, I had just taken pills, so I was high too. And it's like, wow. I wrote down, this is a match made in Gan Eden.
This reminds me.
So right for each other.
This reminds me literally of that scene in Better Call Saul where Howard walks in on Kim and Jimmy, and he goes, "Oh my God, you're perfect for each other."
Yes.
This is exactly. I said, you guys deserve each other, but you're terrible.
Yes.
You get exactly what you deserve.
Yes.
And I'm kind of happy in that sense that they are keeping the gene pool.
Thank God.
Because Ari is definitely aborting his babies every day. She is taking the orange juice, the vitamin C,
Yes.
Which, by the way, gentlemen, is a myth that doesn't actually work. It doesn't happen, do anything. But Ari definitely is like, Brett, I'm every single day. Give me more money.
I love when you do that.
Yeah, it's so great. Yeah, the vocal fry, by the way. Unbelievable. I mean, we're not Californians. And as Gen Z, I kind of have to unlearn it. But the way that she talks, unbelievable. It made me like sexually violent.
She has like baby voice. She has like kind of a lispy thing. I don't know how to even I can't do the oral posture to even really do it justice. It's kind of an Israeli accent. You know, in The Brutalist, how the wife's character, her name is like Ertzabet or Eretzabet.
Yeah.
You know, and I've heard a lot of like Hebrew words or names or whatever where like, it's like something a bet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that kind of thing. And when she says words like that, she kind of says it Israeli style, but then most of the time she's talking, she kind of just has like a little bit of a lisp.
Yeah.
And it's, there's this thing that I've heard before that like girls, when they get molested, they will kind of stay trapped in the voice or the like vocal intonation of a child. If they're molested as children, that is. And this kind of makes me believe it because you mentioned trauma. She does refer to like a deep trauma that she won't get into because it's way too big. But then later in other episodes, she'll be like, well, this isn't my main trauma, but this is a big one. My dad would wake me up when I wasn't ready to get up for school. And it's like, well, if you consider that a big trauma,
really? I
don't know if you were ever actually traumatized, because if you consider that like A tier trauma, but not quite S tier.
Yeah.
Your S tier trauma was probably like, dude, I had to pay for my own fucking tuition in my like first and final year of college or whatever.
I think her trauma is that Hamas refused to rape her on October 7th.
She's unrapeable. Dude, there's comments that are like, I wouldn't even rape you. They talk about, do you remember the thing where they talk about in one episode, she's like, and by the way, haters, to all of you who are saying, oh, Ari's trans, Ari looks trans. She does, by the way.
Yeah.
She goes, some of the most beautiful women in the world are trans. So that's actually not an insult. Yes. And I wrote all caps. I wrote like, can you co-part her or something like that. I can't find it. I have so many notes here.
It's one of those things that you can do to, if you're annoyed with a woman, especially on a dating app, where it's like, oh, you pass so well. And like, well, what do you mean? He's like, oh, well, you're trans, right? Yeah. I'm like, no. And you're like, well, oh, okay, cool.
I believe trans women are real women. No, but I'm a real woman.
And then women turn into Adolf Hitler when you do that. It's a very funny bit to do to a woman who gives you a one-word response on Hinge, which you should do, guys. Very funny.
Episode 5, my personal favorite, Kids Are Idiots.
Oh, yeah. She like almost rapes a child. It's very funny.
This is the most crazy. She tells a story of a kid on a road that she saw when driving home, and how she thought the kid might get kidnapped, whatnot. So she pulled over and talked to her. She tells a long ass story. I don't know if you have any quotes from it or anything. I'll if you do, I'll let you get to it. But she basically, the gist of it is that the kid like didn't know anything and was like, I'm meeting my friend or whatever. And she's like, dude, you're going to get trafficked. If you have any brain and you understand how nonsensical Ari frames everything she says, what you can easily determine is that she saw just a normal teenager, or like maybe even 20 something, walking down a street, and in her pill-addled brain went, oh my God, a child is going to be trafficked by not and then just harassed this girl. And she's like, and then she wouldn't even like get in my car. And I'm like, yeah, I understand. Like, I'm a stranger, but I'm like one of the good ones. And it's like, you definitely She 100% told her parents that a crazy woman tried to kidnap her.
She's like, hey, this crazy like witch showed up on her broomstick and tried to like put me in the big pot.
She looks like a witch.
She really does. Girl, conditioner.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, honey.
Yo.
Terrible.
And for how many surgeries she's had, I mean, you know, she's had the nose worked on.
Yeah.
And it's still witchy.
She still has like a very like masculine jawline too, which is very unsettling.
Yes.
I don't like that.
No.
A lot of Hebrew broads have that too.
Yeah.
But you know what's funny?
Yeah.
One thing they always talk about Jewish chicks is that they have big tits. Not her. One of the only ones.
Doesn't she though?
No.
I kind of, well, actually, she might be wearing like a push-up bra.
Well, I've seen her more scantily clad outfits in some of the later episodes, and I mean, if it's getting pushed up, it's nothing to begin with.
Not a lot of
not to queen out over this, but I mean, why is Brett dating you when he could get any other broad in Tel Aviv?
Well, as Brett says, he's one of his quotes is he's like, dude, he's such a. You know that thing?
Yeah.
Allegedly. You know that thing of how feminists will argue that men who want their women to shave, it's like it's like creepy because it's like, well, you want a more childlike body, you know, to. Brett is like, he has a really creepy moment near the end of the series where she says something, she's like something, but about my pussy is really delicate and tiny, and my gynecologist, can you say it for me?
Gynecologist.
She says he needs like special forceps. Do you remember this? Because of my tiny pussy, he has to use like unique instruments.
Oh, that's right.
And then Brett goes, I love your so fucking and he gets like horny, and it's like, wow, you guys are really just, you need to be chained up. Rabid dog.
I've always been extremely off put by this because I had like a friend in high school who had a relationship like this where he was extremely sexual, like in a group chat where he's like, yeah, babe, remember when you fucking sucked my dick and we were driving, give me a road hand? She's like, yeah, babe, and your dick's so big. And I'm just like, this is really just not sexy. Like, what do you gain from this?
Girl, whip out your fucking penis.
Girl, whip out your penis so you can fuck my penis. But no, it's extremely disgusting. And I hate seeing these, like, the PDA of all this. It's extremely just off-putting. And it makes my skin crawl. And over the course of this thing, like, first episode, I was just like, this is bad, but I hate Brett. But so I'm going to kind of watch this and be like, oh, I'm hating, going along with it. Like a bad movie, like Ella McKay, where I'm just like, oh, this is a hilarious dude. And then after a bit, I'm just like, he needs but it
This is, we're at the halfway point in the episodes here, kind of like going through chronologically. This is the point at which I started to realize, because his armor falls off. He's really, he cannot hide how he's feeling.
Yeah.
And in the earlier episodes, he's tense, uncomfortable, seems not like outwardly angry, but you can tell he's not happy. And he's trying to, he kind of gives up on all of that and lets it all go. And what I realized watching this is that not only is Brett Gelman like, yes, pathetic and sad, it's too cringe to look at kind of sad. Like you can tell he is miserable inside.
Yeah.
At a certain point in this podcast, he really doesn't, he kind of takes the same position as Ari of like, hey, I'm not driving. Like we're both kind of just here for it. I'm just here for whatever. And he becomes more agreeable to her. And I realized, wow, she really kind of owns and controls him really just by supplying his need, which is just freaked up sex.
He needs sex, yeah.
And as I watched this, I went, wow, I don't feel sorry for Brett. I think he is, I don't feel sorry for him in the way that I would for other people who maybe are also in like a tragic, weird relationship or like a weird relationship that's fueled by drugs and addiction and whatnot. I don't feel as bad for him as I would for most other people. But I did have this feeling of like, oh, this is like a really tragic situation of a guy who I don't think could function with any spouse in any circumstance. A guy who I do not like, who I would never want to have to be around, but who I think has realized that he has spent his whole life building a prison that he now cannot escape from.
Yeah, he's made his bed and he has to lie in it. And this is like the point, like you said, I agree, where it stopped being funny. Yeah. And it just got sad. It's like watching like two homeless people fight. It's like, yeah, it's entertaining, but nobody wins.
Yeah.
I didn't, at a certain point, it's just like, Brett, as a Christian, I'm reaching out to you here. I want to see your soul saved. We want you to convert as well, but more importantly, you need to get away from Ari. She is draining your life force, your male vril. Yeah. She is stealing your male vitality. You need to regain your cojones, get your groove back.
And he's also fatter and older in the last 6 months. There's an interview with him on, I forget the name of it, but it's a show that a lot of celebrities go on that's kind of recent. If you go on YouTube and you search Brett Gelman interview, you'll be able to find it. He's balder. He has like an earring in, and it's where I saw the interview of him talking about how he made Larry David crack up and whatnot. And I was watching it and I was like, oh, you're gonna be this dude. You're in your like late 40s, early 50s.
It's over.
And you're dressing like a kid who really wants to get noticed at high school as being edgy, whatever. 13. I have an earring. I paint my fingernails.
Yeah,
and it's so pathetic. Why is he getting money? You are a bad influence. You are taking up bandwidth on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Who cares? I know they have a lot of it, but you're contributing to global warming.
Also, just all of his, we didn't even really talk about this yet. I mean, he's like a huge Zionist on Instagram, and he was posting these disgusting videos. For example, you would see something where it's just like, like a girl like Hindrajab or something, where it's just like girl just like killed by an IDF tank, and she's like 5 years old, and it's like, well, obviously she's not a terrorist. And then Brett is just like, and yeah, a bunch of terrorists died today. And it's like, well, Brett, maybe you should kind of reel it in when you are the people who are committing the war crimes. Like, I understand Hamas did a bad thing. I agree. Yeah. But you shouldn't be gloating that like a child got her head exploded.
He does a very similar thing to what Kevin Spacey did regarding his Me Too allegations, where Spacey now talks about it like, oh, it's all in the past. As we all know, the incorrect narrative. And it's like, well, actually tell me, get specific for me. What was incorrect? Yeah. Brett will make videos about Palestine, Israel, and he go, I just love seeing all the totally honest and unbiased coverage of the events. Like, he'll always skirt around it. He won't really actually say anything. It's like, well, yeah, okay. What was incorrect? What was biased?
Tell me exactly.
Brett, what is your case? You don't have one.
Yeah.
And it makes me not understand. It's what makes me think that Ari is like the real driver of this, because she's obviously an egghead.
Yeah.
No, that's not a term for a dumb person. That's like a
airhead.
Airhead, thank you.
Yeah.
She's obviously an egghead. And so I could see how she could believe it because there's no reasoning, whatever. And she's not really making the content. She's just kind of like in the background shaking her ass while he's making these videos.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's not able to do it and talk around it, it shows that he has some sense of like, well, I can't really say that it's all made up because actually there's super evidence.
There's like the most evidence ever.
But he has the indignant thing. And it's like, well, how you can't come to this conclusion and then also be self-aware unless you got to do it because, your supply is going to get cut off. Exactly. He's not going to bag a hotter girl. Not that she's hot, but like, you know what I mean? He's ugly.
Yeah.
He's abrasive. He's obnoxious. She constantly talks about, she's like, oh, you are annoying as fuck. I hate having to be around you. You are the worst, but I love you, babe. Whatever, technically, keep, doing whatever you need to do. Get the checks from Netflix. We can live in a nice house.
Yeah. One thing that they talked about in episode 6, which is the episode where they do the Greta Thunberg impression for like 25 fucking minutes. You can tell that this is like a very mean-spirited thing because, like, for context, Greta Thunberg was on like this, you would call it like a flotilla, I think is what they called it. And she wore the Palestinian keffiyeh, which is like that checkered neck scarf that a lot of Arabs wear. And she was just on there and basically just sailing to Israel to be like, hey, you guys are like killing people as a protest. Mm-hmm. They called her, quote, a baby Nazi in this. And I have to say something. It's like, say what you want about people. I don't love Greta Thunberg overall. But, what she's doing is completely fine in that context of like just protesting stuff that she believes in. Yeah. The idea of her being a Nazi is hilarious. She's one of the most liberal people of all time. And just because she's like, hey, I don't like when a child's head explodes. And they're just like, okay, well, actually even anti-Semitic.
We all saw that speech that made her famous of, you've stolen my future. But my note when I was watching this, I wrote down, what the fuck is this bit? I'm already halfway through the app and it won't end. What is the point of this? Because for most of it, it's just like, all right, so I'm sitting here with Greta Thunberg, him talking to Ari. Yeah, And what do you think about this issue? Climate change? Oh, yeah, it's like actually not a big deal. Yeah. And I was like, what? I was very confused. I said, did Greta Thunberg like flip her position? What are they making fun of? How
It's
did
just
this come
wrong,
about?
man.
Like, what are we doing here? And then I wrote down, did Greta say some kind of anti-Jewish comment or some kind of like actually like really hateful towards Judaism kind of thing? And because they say at one point, I mean, like, we just hate the Jews. Let's just say it. Let's just be honest about it. And I was like, wow, did she like did she get
what'd
caught
she say?
posting on 8kun? Like, what happened? And then I Googled it and I found out what you just said. No, she's just protesting the thing that everybody's protesting. And it's, again, they won't actually come out and just explicitly state whatever Greta did that's so Nazi-like, but it's just like, oh, you don't agree with me? You are my enemy. You're not a Zionist? That's basically Nazi. It's this arrogant Bill Maher persona they adopt where it's just like, well, as we know, the entire world is against us for no reason. It's
Yeah, they also say, quote, you to Greta, you came out as an anti-Semite. Well, that's not true.
Yeah.
Exactly, because nothing she said actually would have been, by definition, anti-Semitic in any way. That is just objectively false.
And they complain about all this stuff. They complain about identity politics and, oh my God, the identity thing and the anti-Jewish thing. And it's like, this is your fucking guys' playbook. People like you, complete like scum of the earth in Hollywood who get just inordinate income for doing nothing and making nothing good, live and die by this mentality. But now that you don't like that people are associating your religion, and if you can even call it an ethnic group at this point, because it's really like a lot of ethnic groups.
Yeah.
Now that you don't like that people are associating these things with actions by a government that he will, to his credit, criticize. Brett Gelman will occasionally be like, I'm not for everything that the Israeli government does. It's like, you just aren't happy that it's turned around on you, so now you're just pretending like the last 10 years didn't exist. Brett, did you forget everything you said in the Larry King interview?
Yeah, exactly. He has, like, no consistency.
No. No shame. I would have,
Yeah.
like, how are you going to pretend? You're going to really just pull a fast one and try to just convince us that you were never on that ship?
It is trickery. He's
Yes.
just like, I didn't say it.
Ari joins a cult.
Oh, God.
This made me incensed. I don't even know if I can speak intelligently about it.
I was staring at the screen like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. I was like, I cannot believe this girl right now. Operation is happening right now. Prepare
Ari
your fucking... So I believe Ari becomes part of what she says is like an ayahuasca cult. And I think it's really funny because she eventually reveals that the cult is just run by Israelis. And I was just like, okay, so you got psyoped by Mossad and you were just like a victim of circumstance right there. You were collateral damage and like, I'm sorry, Ari.
This episode is hilarious and infuriating because you're listening to a girl who's had a very privileged life. These two people cannot stop complaining despite the fact that they just are, the input of how much like time, effort, energy they put into what they could do and how much they gotten out of it is so off kilter. Yet they are perpetual victims, not even just because of Jewish persecution, whatever. But all of their anecdotes, they start out as this thing like, oh yeah, I got sucked into this thing and someone tried to take advantage of me. And it's like, no, you actually were just like a bumblebee chasing drugs.
Yes.
And you just try, I can pollinate this flower and get some free Adderall or some ayahuasca, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it turns out it was just like scuzzy Jewish people who were getting people high and then raping them or whatever. This story fucking sent me. She spends about 5 minutes rambling, starting the story over and over and never getting through it.
Yeah.
Talking about this LA fame chasing idiotic ramblings of this like empty-headed macroplastic fake boob that is Ari Dayan. And she is constantly searching for words. She's telling her story out of order, like most of them, women. Brett tries to help her out. He speaks like a couple of times in which she's searching for words. And then she goes, oh my God, can you just shut up and let me tell it?
I wrote that down too. I was like, she got fucking mad at him because he was trying to do the nice thing of saying, hey, you're rambling, bitch.
And it's the most gentle, he didn't even say, I think he says like 2 words.
Yeah.
She goes, it was like just so, and he's like, uncomfortable. She goes, oh my God, can you shut the fuck up? And it's like, dude, you have been struggling to tell there's not even a story. Because the ultimate essence of it is that she got invited to a party to sing or something, because she's a singer. And it turns out it was really just a get together to do drugs, which turns out was really this like cult And the shaman of the cult was this Jewish guy who just wanted to have like a commune or something, because really he wanted to have a harem of whores who would fuck him because he's supplying drugs. And Ari, like a moth drawn to light, just went, oh my God, drugs. Joined the cult and then got taken advantage of. And she's like, and then, I think she talks about fucking him or something. And she compliments somebody of having a huge dick. I can't remember if that's the Italian. This guy.
Yeah. She gives like a really awful story because her and Brett broke up for a bit.
Yes.
And they were like on a break. And for like 8 or 9 months or something, she was like, yeah, I was dating like this Italian dude and this guy who was younger than me. And this is when I was just like, okay, so this is a fetish for Brett, because he says something and she says like, well, he had like a big dick or something, like unprompted. And Brett was is it bigger than my dick? And she's like, yeah, I don't want to say. Which is like, yeah, it is, Brett. And he's like, is it better than my dick? And she's like, no, you have the best one. He's like, okay. This is definitely just his cuck fetish. Yes. Like in this scenario, like he constantly is asking Ari, he's like, yeah, so this one guy you fucked, it's like, how was he? It's like, you shouldn't be asking that. I feel like most men who were normal would be like, I don't want to hear that. Stop.
Yeah. Like this story, I think it was this episode, she talks about something about like the dude who did suicide by IDF. Wasn't it this guy?
Yes, it's exactly. She invited this dude who's part of the cult, like the leader, and like he was like in Israel and she was as well. And she's like, yeah, my friend has a boutique, come over. And like, there was like a gay dude and he's like, hello. And like the dude just like stuck his hand out and like the cult leader like fucking like bit his hand.
Yeah.
And she's like, what the fuck are you doing? And then he had like a weird breakdown where he went and ran out with a knife and said, I'm a terrorist. And an IDF soldier fucking blew his head off.
So he's funny. Dead now. Great dick though.
Yeah.
It just, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to picture this. And it makes me mad just seeing people who just take everything for granted and really there are no consequences. Maybe that's what it is. I'm a very justice-minded person and there's just hearing all these anecdotes and there's a drug story, I think that's in this episode about going to Amsterdam.
Okay.
There's a story of them like doing mushrooms in Amsterdam and being fucking obnoxious and like vomiting on a plane.
This story made me want to actually Yes. Yeah, she tells a story where she's like, my friends and I were in Amsterdam and we learned that you could just do mushrooms legally. And we went to a place and they didn't have mushrooms, but the guy was like, hey, I have something that's like kind of like mushrooms. But they're like, our flight was in like 4 hours, but we're like, we'll just do it anyway. By the way, insane. You have a baby brain if you think that's a cool thing to do. And most flight attendants will not let you on the plane if you're high. So I don't know how they got. It's probably because it's in the Netherlands and it's all just like there anyway. They tell a story and like Ari is like, she's tripping on something like this weird like synthetic mushroom or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
She goes to the bathroom on the plane. She's somehow like allowed on, which I don't know how. And she's in the bathroom for like 45 minutes, like throwing up. And like eventually the like pilot or like flight attendant's like, get the fuck out, which is good. And she gets back to her seat and like one of her other male friends who's gay is just like sucking the other dude off on the plane. That you deserve for doing that on the plane, by the way. This is the one thing where I'm just like, okay, it was kind of funny before and I enjoyed making fun of Brett and Ari. I'm just like, my balls are getting full. I'm ready to I probably can't say that. But
probably can't say that.
The fact that she's telling such a disgusting story and she has a complete like disregard and she doesn't really see a problem with it, but she's like, well, it was crazy. I'm like, no, if you told a story to most people, it'd be like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
That's bad. You shouldn't say that to people. Yeah. That's a bad thing you did. But Ari doesn't have a prefrontal cortex that's developed beyond the 6th grade, where she was probably molested in the brain too. That's her trauma. Maybe. The dick hit the brain. And she is so emotionally stunted that I feel like she is a threat to Brett at this point, and I'd say the world.
I was going to say.
So at this point, I'm just like, okay, hold on. Is Brett in trouble? Does he need a hotline?
He's going to keep going back, though, because he wants her to flap those wings on that big.
Oh, that's one of the grossest, dumbest, stupidest stories.
That's one of the titles of one of the episodes.
Yeah.
That's stuck out in my brain. When I heard, and when you find out what that means.
Yeah. What it means is he said that during sex, but his autism brain said, flap those wings, which was her ass, on that big, his dick.
Yes.
And Ari's like, oh my God, what you say is so funny. You make me laugh.
And when he explains it, it sounds even more. He's like, because like your ass, when it's like bouncing, it spreads and it's like wings unfolding. And I think I tried to say that big dick, but I said that big. And I'm like, I really don't want to picture anything you're describing here, Brett. No. And I can see you both getting turned on and horny by this, but I'm not a pill addict.
Yes. If anything, you should be in jail right now. And it's kind of bizarre that like people like us, or I can get like my PayPal seized for like literally nothing.
Yes.
And then people like Ari and Brett are allowed to talk about disgusting shit and crimes they've committed that are worse than anything we've talked about on here.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be like a snitch or anything, but it's like these people genuinely they've done.
How many times have we?
What I wrote actually right here at the bottom of episode 10, I am.
You really did write that.
I really did.
It's that simple of a sentence.
Yeah, because I what was the context of this? Episode 10, I mean, skip it forward. Oh yeah, I said theme change, they dox their producer. Ari said, I don't mind being called trans. And she said, oh, the funniest thing in that episode, she said, I'm not of this tribal mindset. I'm like, bro, you're a Zionist. Of course you are, actually. Yeah. And I think that's what it caused the...
Man, our politics are just so lazy because you have like these two camps and it's like, get over it. You're only saying that because everyone hates Zionists.
Yes, the worst groups of people.
You were hyper tribal about American politics until October 6th.
Yeah.
2023.
Have you seen that like in Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, like every single store has a sign up that says no Israeli tourists?
Ooh.
And it used to be in the thing of like in Southeast Asia, like Russians used to be pretty bad, but like Americans had a bad, rap for myriad of things. Now Israeli tourists are the worst. And I have to say, I'm glad that people are kind of realizing that Americans broadly are kind of nice and they're decent tourists overall, besides the fat ones with rascals.
Sure.
And the real problems are the ones who...
I don't understand. I just treat everyone like they're trash and beneath me, like the world is my garbage can.
Yes, I go and I get a hookah in Pattaya in Thailand in Bangkok, and I don't pay her. I don't tip at all. I don't have a tip. I don't give her one.
Hey, cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
I'm never going to stop.
This is the episode I was referring to when I said there's like 10 minutes where I kind of forgot how bad they are at podcasting. There is something that borders on the idea of being charming, of them having kind of a, I guess, relatable, kind of what most like comedians who are married will talk about, of kind of the little like things about being married to somebody where they have some fun banter about like, well, you do this thing that kind of gets on my nerves, but you do this thing kind of too. Yeah, well, I love you. And it seems like they actually mean it for a second. It's like, okay, they had an emotion that I think I bought.
Sure. And for once.
And you know what? It probably wasn't even 10 minutes. It probably felt like 10 minutes because it was like a glass of water in the desert. And I'm like, oh my God, it's like he fed me and fucked me and also I'm in this story. I'm a woman.
Oh, okay. Interesting that you immediately became a woman in the story of your own volition. Immediately, you were gay. It didn't take any convincing or world building. You were just immediately gay.
He fed me and he fed. And then I cover it up and I go, I'm a woman, actually. And it's like, well, you just said boner. I sucked on his throbbing penis. It's like, well, wait, what did you just say?
This is so dumb. Oh, my stomach hurts.
I don't know why he said he fed me and fucked me. I think I started, honest to God, I think I started like channeling our improv of Ari where it was like, and then I barred his baby. I think I just like slipped into that kind of way of talking. It just sounds like my fantasy is to get rescued by a strapping young man who gives me food and rapes me immediately. It was all an oasis.
This bit is funnier than anything they ever said in Neurotica. Just this improper of the dumbest bullshit. They never had a moment where they're just like, oh, what you said was really funny and we're having a laughing fit. Yes. It was all them getting mad at each other and having marital arguments. They've never had a funny bit.
Constant marital argument. They can't let anything go either. Did you notice that, like, neither of them can let the other ever have the last word?
Yeah.
There are so many times, because I'm an editor, I pay attention to this. There is some heavy content editing in ways that they try to be sneaky about it, Where since it's cutting from Brett's shot to Ari, back to Brett, you could cut out gaps in time and whatnot. And it could be seamless if you did it well. But there are times where Ari is talking and then it will cut to Brett listening. And Ari is clearly, as it cut to Brett, Ari is clearly now talking from a different part of the conversation.
Yes, I have seen
But they
these.
clearly just cutting out whatever Brett said.
Yeah.
I have a feeling like she got the final say on all the editing because it only happens one way.
Mm-hmm. It was probably the thing of just Brett being like, okay, so I have this video edited and it's like an hour long and it's just Brett talking about like Grateful Dead concerts and like doing drugs and skateboarding. And she's like, actually, I want to talk about that dude's like baby that I launched out of my pussy.
You know what else, Nick, about the baby and the pussy?
Yeah, what about that? Tell me.
You know what else actually lends to this also is that the text will refer to Brett as he, and it will refer to Ari as me or my, because there'll be a little asterisk when there's a content edit. It'll be like, Brett kept blah, 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 blah about this. When it's something Ari's thing, it's like, I kept talking about blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
So it's first person, her.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah. It happens. Not a ton, but it's there.
Okay.
There's clues. There's clues that you're like, okay, she was the one overseeing what's going to be
There
said.
are some things happening in the background that you pick up on over the course of this that does show their diary and everything that's happened. And I did enjoy that, where I was literally like psychoanalyzing every little thing, especially every time that like Ari would talk and Brett would just have like the death stare.
Rewriting history. I actually feel differently now that I think about it, because there is a level of unhinged, like animalistic fear, anger. Like when he's staring at her, his eyes are wide, but his expression is that of like, I'm bracing. This guy might attack me. Like the way that if you're, a scary individual in the dark in an alley,
Some dark individuals
kind of cornering you, and you're like, I'm not able to play it cool because I really do sense violence coming. That's the face he has when she's talking.
He does have that fight or flight response.
Yeah. He should
He should have Ari and right in the top. Right on a fucking soft spot.
He should have stunned it and then punched and then once upon a time in Hollywood, like just
headache both sides of at the same time. One of the aliens in Mars attacks.
Yes. That would have been cool.
That would Brett, why didn't you do that, by the way? You should do that. That'd be cool.
Episode 9 starts with Ari going, "Oh, you smoked a joint in here. I can smell it." Well, I did a bump of ketamine, and I just wrote down these fucks.
These fucks.
I'm so exhausted at this point.
At this point, I was like, how many more times can we talk about you dealing drugs? I mean, the funniest thing about this was she tells us anecdote about how she bought ketamine and it was cool. And then she's like, hey, I want to like sell ketamine, so I'm going to buy a bunch in bulk and get a deal. And it was really funny because Brett was like, you love a deal. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm sure you do. I'm sure both of you do. And this entire story, and they do this thing where they're just like, well, I don't know, this story might be real, but it might not be. And I'm just like, just fucking say that you were selling drugs. Who cares, by the way? I mean, it's like, saying all this on a podcast too, especially a comic one, is like inadmissible, honestly, a lot of the time.
They don't understand, as litigious as they probably are, they don't really understand anything about like what they could be getting in trouble for, because they're afraid to say the names of brands.
A water bottle, yeah.
Yes. They're like, an Ari's water, which rhymes with Mydro mask. Like I know that they're trying to make a bit out of it because like they're just ripping up all the couch cushions looking for straws. Anything that they can try to. You do, but she is actually hiding the label. And it's like, do you think that you're going to get in trouble for free advertising of it? You're not libeling them,
And alternatively, do you think that people are going to want to sponsor you on Neurotica?
Yeah.
I mean, you've said nothing of substance so far. You're getting like 100 views on average that aren't hate views from your husband, who has like 3 million subscribers on Instagram, which is a crazy drop off. Yeah. I mean, with our follower and like YouTube views, it's like actually insanely better than what they have somehow. Well, I mean, I say somehow, but it's because he's an actual.
When you subtract the bots, it's got to be like 200 or 300 people, probably.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of those are hate watching.
A lot of them are.
Yeah, I'd say most actually at this point.
talking about the sponsorships, also, like we mentioned earlier, like, what is your financial plan? There's no Patreon. You don't have any ads, whatever. Every episode ends with them being like, thank you for supporting our family. You didn't monetize your show. There's no ads before your
We're
YouTube
not
videos.
supporting you.
You actually have no income from your show. How did you fuck this up?
And I'm using an ad blocker, so if there was an ad on it, I didn't see it. And you didn't get money from me.
I was watching it on my work computer at my last job, not the current one. I would never do that on my current job. I was watching this on my work computer on a non-incognito. It's crazy what I got away with at that job. I'm watching this like full volume, dick out, gun pointed at the door, like mysterious skin. And
Caleb was a school teacher.
there's a quote near the end where Brett is like, I've never been more religious. And it's like, well, you got religious on October 7th. Your religion and religious identity, that aspect of your Jewish identity, is directly tied to just protecting yourself or the image of your ethnicity. They talk about traditions and stuff, and Ari's like, yeah, my grandfather, he was honestly very Jewish because he only believed in God when he thought he might die. And it's like, if that to you means that he was very Jewish, what you're really saying is that being Jewish is like not actually believing it, just being very cynical.
Yeah.
And I understand why. I think she mentioned he was a Holocaust survivor. Yeah. And it's like, I understand why someone who went through that would be like, oh, I don't believe in God because, you know, look at what I went through.
Yeah.
Hell on earth or whatever. But she's like, and that's a very Jewish thing. And it's like, do you realize how you make your own people look worse?
They're kind of raping us.
They're kind of raping their own people. Honestly, how many people have they radicalized? How much they just fucking suck on social media?
Tons. I mean, a lot of people, especially like, you know, some of my friends who live in Asia, I asked them one time, I'm just like, hey, once the war started, I'm just like, what do you guys think of like Jews in, you know, your country? Because they don't really have any, because, you know, they're Asians and there's like maybe 5 Asian Jews ever. And they're just like, I have no opinion. And then like a couple months later, they're just like, why are they killing children? Why are they the worst people ever? Why are they like the worst tourists?
Yes.
And it's like, it immediately just ruined everything. It's like, I didn't even really have to introduce them to that. But the fact that they were so bad that like somebody in like Indonesia is just like, I do not like, well, they're Muslim there. Yeah. That's bad. In Philippines or whatever. They're just like, yeah, this is bad. I do not like these people.
If shedding light on your actions makes everyone hate you, isn't that the easiest
Maybe your actions
problem?
are bad.
Maybe your actions are bad. Like, is everyone else wrong all the time? Of course.
Yeah. If
they don't have the real information like I do, what is the real information? I have to go.
If one person hates you, that's a problem with that person. But if every person hates you, it's a problem with you.
They failed high school math, so they probably don't know what common denominator means. Mm-hmm. Although that's something you learn in 4th grade. So actually,
Ari dropped out of that.
Excuse.
Yeah.
Well, she was too traumatized from being woken up by her dad for school.
Woken up for
it's just it's so easy.
I mean, it's probably what happened.
I think we've said on this more than probably any other episode, right?
Oh, yeah.
We'll only know when we go back and listen.
I guess.
If you're keeping score at this point, we've talked in like decent deal about most of the episodes. At this point, almost everything they've discussed is either something they fight about, drugs, being Jewish, degenerate behavior, everyone else who isn't them or believes in what they believe being bad and misinformed, and them being traumatized.
Yeah.
At this point, I became the SpongeBob arms. I was like, because I saw there were 3 left, and I was like, I'm in the home stretch, but I really feel like I'm just being mentally tortured here. I'm not going to let it beat me. You know what? I'm just going to go in and pretend. I'm going to tell myself that these last 3 episodes are, you know, a parody. I'm going to tell myself this was AI generated. Of like, hey, let's create Neurotica. I have to do any mental trick I can to just not focus, because I, you know, immediately am doing Travis Bickle hands on my eyes the second each episode starts. Then I hit play. Ari says the thing about being trans and how actually trans women are beautiful. Brett then immediately is like, oh yeah, some of those beautiful I've ever seen are trans. And she's like, Brett, shut the fuck up.
I'm trying to virtue signal here, you fucking fat bitch.
I started giggling right away because I was like, it's
nothing.
You can't even feel bad for, like, I went through this whole arc watching the show because at a certain point I'm like, you know, I came back around to not feeling bad for you at all because you let this happen. You're still there. Obviously this is happening off mic. It's like, you know, it's not like this even matters to you. This is how you spend 20 minutes where you talk about like, oh yeah, then we got bagels because we're fucking Jewish. Like, there's so many bagel stories and all this shit. It's like, this podcast is recorded in between loads of laundry. And the fact that this is what it's like when you're trying to present yourself to the world, it's like, Brett, you know, I didn't even think about it from a cuck perspective in the most literal sense. To me, when I was just calling him a cuck, it's really just how anyone would call someone just like a bitch.
Pejorative term, yeah.
Yeah. No, really, he does have a cuck. Like, I'm kind of coming around on that. That actually is the most logical conclusion you can come to from the behavior on display.
Yeah, like it was a joke in The Other Guys, because
Yeah.
it was his character. But after seeing it, and he said something in a previous episode that I want to bring back. It was in episode 8 where Ari said she fucked a lot of boys. And she said boys, which, by the way, was kind of like a gross word for her to use. I don't know why that irked me. And then Brett just says, were they good in bed? Okay. Any normal man would never ask that to his girlfriend or wife who said that unless there was something deeply wrong with him or it was his fetish.
He's excited.
He's excited to hear about her sexual escapades.
Yeah.
I cannot relate, Brett, because that would disgust the hell out of me.
And if he was nervous, even if he was bad at hiding it, if he was nervous and he was coming from a place of like insecurity of like, oh no, what if they were better than me? What if they were hotter than me? He'd be like, I mean, were they like, what did you think of them? You would kind of do like 3 steps removed from what you actually want to know to try to prompt her to just share what she's gonna, so she doesn't know that you're insecure. No, he clearly is like, he doesn't want to hide it. He's,
And he wants to know too. This isn't the thing of like, oh, were they? No, he's just like, tell me right now.
He's also very fat and disgusting. Probably smells. He has like the fat arms that look disgusting when he wears tank tops and stuff. We're like, dude, put on like 5 shirts.
Come on, man.
Please get your style tips from Steve Bannon. I need you to wear like 11 shirts when you go out in public. I cannot deal with this, and a mask and a gimp suit. Since he's so gross and since Ari is so sexual with him, you know, there's no chance she's sexually attracted to him. So this must mean that for this marriage to work for her at all, having to do that to that guy, there has to be other people in that bedroom sometimes, right? You know?
Yeah.
We're putting on our Russ Cole hats here.
Okay, I'm seeing the birds making a spiral right here. I think that there has to be something where, like, you know, you ever see like the TV show The Americans about like KGB spies in the United States? There's like a thing they'd have to do where basically like honeypot people and like sleep with people to get information. I feel like that's what Ari was meant to do. Yeah. That was her original mission, and then she's like, I can't do this, Shinbet. Massage. You need to send somebody else in. So they're sending in the junior agents to like lift up his fupa and jerk him off. I have a feeling that's what's happening.
Time is a flat if you know where that word comes from. I don't know if you knew that.
Whoa, news to me. Is that real, actually?
Yes. Yeah, when Jews were emigrating to Ellis, that slur comes from when Jews emigrated through Ellis Island. This is a great moment from Anthony and Opie and Anthony's how I learned about this. Patricia Neal's telling a story, and he goes like, oh yeah, they came through, they didn't know how to sign, so they would have to just draw a circle. And the Hebrew word for circle is and people referred to them as just as a short, and then it became like a negative slur later. And then Louis butts in, he goes, hey, you know the origin of the word there's this black guy who was being a
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So the last 2 episodes, episode 11 and 12, it's a 2-parter. It's a Mother's Day episode for kind of no reason. I mean, they bring it up like once, and it's like, all right. It's no theme really. They have new professional mics. They have the Shure mics, and it's really funny to buy new professional mics when you just quit your podcast after the next episode.
Yeah,
it's like Caleb and I have been using the same stuff like for half a year, and it's like if I bought new things tomorrow, I wouldn't just be like, oh well, it's been a ride, Caleb.
Yeah.
It was great. Nice meeting you. Yeah. One thing I wrote for this episode is I just said it's just Jewish complaining. Yeah, every single thing, and I don't want to like go too much into the Jew stuff and be like, because it's kind of like, you know, but everything is just like, and I can't believe it, you know, I bought this thing and it was just too expensive. It's like listening to like these fucking mother-in-laws in New York or Jersey just talking, and I'm like, my God, you I don't know who's listening to this, by the way, because like we said earlier, there isn't really like a rhyme or reason or like format for this show.
Yeah,
they're just talking like off the dome, and I don't know who finds that entertaining. Yeah. Like, I mean, we talked earlier about like, you know, Cumtown or places like I think like even Chapo Trap House and like some of the more famous ones that basically are just like we're just comedians, but we're talking about funny things that happened in the news. They aren't talking about current events like the other ones I mentioned are. They're just like, okay, well, I went and did drugs and also got them borts.
This might be the first like content that exists that is entertainment, quote unquote, that is impossible to go from start to finish without needing to, out of obligation for hatred or reviewing it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if there's another TV show, movie, any kind of or podcast. I don't know if there's anything else that exists that is quite literally impossible to enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, even like from people I don't like, they do have a format, and I say, well, I could understand that your fans like this, but I feel like even Brett Gelman fans, which is a hilarious set of words that have never been said in the same sentence, they wouldn't even like this. Like, if you're a Stranger Things guy and you're just like, oh, I like what's his fucking name, Mike? Oh, Murray, right?
Yeah.
If you're a Murray fan, a Murray stan, even. You're not going to be listening to Neurotica being like, oh, I want to hear things from the guy who's just kind of loud and annoying on the show.
Exactly.
And if you're a fan of Dinner in America or whatever the fuck, or his Adult Swim work, again, never been saying the same sentence, fan and Gelman's Adult Swim work, I don't see what you would gain from listening to this too. No. It's very meandering.
You're not a personality.
Exactly.
You're not a brand. Who cares what you think?
Yeah, people are not willing to follow you through everything. You don't have a personality that people like. You somehow just got lucky. Yeah. Probably through blackmail.
Probably through blackmail.
Probably actually blackmail.
If history tells us anything.
Probably through your black wife's mail. She mailed people and said, please give my husband work.
Yeah.
He needs to get out of the house right now. He's annoying me.
Yeah.
She got his accent, by the way, because he was talking all the time.
Happy belated Mother's Day starts with Brett being like, what if these mics were like dicks?
Oh, yeah, he does say that.
He's like, I could put my mouth around this. I was watching it. You ever have those like actual fever dreams where like you're like in you're in like your 4th grade classroom, but you're an old man, and then like your childhood friend is still a child, and like your pet from when you were a kid is like speaking English. You're like, wait. Or even in your like delirium, you're able to tell it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's like Inception. You become aware. Like when I was watching this, when he's like, dude, Ari, check this out. I'm like sucking a dick. Like, how many layers of irony and like just delusional Jewish thinking tells him that this is acceptable? How have they've done like 3 podcasts worth of content?
This is like a bit that I would do when we're just drunk. I'm like, Caleb, what if I'm sucking your penis? But he's doing it to his wife who does not like it.
They are so scraping the bottom of the barrel. He's like, dude, fucking microphone penis. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Show me your penises. It's the dumbest thing. Oh my god, I hate these people so much. I wish I had a that could the world.
Yeah. She mentions that Chris Kattan and Pauly Shore slid in her DMs, by the way. Which I believe.
I believe that because they seem desperate. But I mean, Norma's right about Chris Kattan if he's doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, he's a huge
Did you watch that video of him looking 80 years old outside of that theater?
Yes.
Hey guys, it's Chris Kattan, Night at Roxbury. It's a classic.
Yeah, his
mouth is all.
He has problems from being fucked up and dumb.
He had like drug mouth. I can't really put my finger on it.
Yeah, he broke his back, I think, during like an SNL sketch. That was a famous thing. I forget what it was, but it was something where it's like he landed and like broke some like a vertebrae or whatever, and he didn't like recover well.
Oh no!
I guess because he was too busy on SNL and all those sketches that he was great in.
Yeah. Oh my god, Norm, you're just like, oh my god, you're not putting in that much effort. Oh my god, I can totally picture him doing all of that shit.
Yeah,
he's great.
What they basically devolve into is like, bro, school sucks and drugs, man. It's like, cool. Like, I skipped school to do drugs, and I skipped drugs to do school. Like, what, man? And I went to
drugs to do school.
I stayed in drugs and went to school and did school. And that's basically every single story that Brett has. Is he's just like, I was in school, I was a bad kid, I did drugs. Isn't that awesome? Can I please have $1,000? Can you give me $1,000 for Neurotica, please?
Brett, actually, if you'll shut the fuck up, I was trying to tell my story about the time that I met a guy on a bus named Zach Wasserschmitz.
That was one of the dumbest stories. It's the most astroturf bullshit. But there were like only 2 stories really in all of Neurotica that I thought were interesting. It's her friend getting headshotted by the IDF.
Yes.
And then this guy getting arrested because I thought, wow, what a bizarre character. And she didn't tell it terribly. So I was like, oh, there are at least 2 things that I thought you did somewhat well over the course of 12 episodes. It didn't make me chuckle, but I was like, okay, that is a funny story.
Yeah, there's a couple of redeeming moments, and actually half of them are supplied by Ari, even though she gives nothing for most of the show. Like, most of her anecdotes, like, there's this guy that I fucked once, but then he, like, tragically died when he suicide bombed, like, a Palestinian children's hospital.
Yeah.
You're like, well, wait, what?
He was crushed by a bulldozer in Gaza.
That's where it led to?
Yeah. Do you think he molested the Zionist kid from Stranger Things? Because he's the worst actor, so definitely something traumatic happened. And he's the gay character, too.
Yes.
And he wasn't originally, I mean, it was alluded to, but so this is my headcanon, is that Brett Gelman was on set and he's just like, Noah, I mean, it's just you and I here.
Yeah.
On the set. And I mean, like, the demagoguing is pretty scary. You need a big daddy to keep you company. And he's just like, Mr. Gell.
He seems like he could rape a child. I could easily see he's a monster. If he had the right circumstances, he's attracted to tiny vaginas. You know what I mean? He said that on his podcast.
Saying about somebody, it seems like he could rape a child, is a very funny thing to say. It's so crude and, like, terrible.
It's not
but that actually is actually true. No, I could see. It's one of those things where, if, like, you know how you can look up, like, sex offenders, like a registry in your county? I could see Brett Gelman and his, like, bald head, beard.
Yeah.
Very, very well.
Yeah.
It fits.
If the glove fits, then us sits. Also, there's a moment at the end of this episode, he talks about, Ari goes, Brett, who are your favorite rappers? It's like, where, what? Like,
Yeah.
just out of nowhere.
Who
Like,
cares?
oh, you have a question? It's the first thing she's asked him, like, the entire show.
The one time she's inquisitive and it's like,
Yeah.
wait, what?
Brett, how about you talk about yourself? And then I wrote it down, he says, I wouldn't even have to write this down, actually. He goes, Biggie, Tupac, Jay-Z, Wu-Tang, and number 5, maybe Nas. Now, number 1, it's not Nas, it's Nas, because his name is Nasir Jones, and he goes by Nas, and you would know that if you actually were a fan of him. By the way, if you don't really know much about rap, that is the equivalent of Ty West saying, my favorite movies are 2001, The Godfather, Citizen Kane. No one is a fan of Biggie and Wu-Tang and Tupac and Jay-Z and Nas equally, because those are like the 5, and then, you know, now Kendrick Lamar or whatever. There's like the 7 or 8 names that are always like, well, these are the objective best. He's like, my personal favorite, for me alone at least, probably Cliche 1, Cliche 2, Cliche 3. And I watched that, and it was a perfect little cherry on top of, like, wow, fuck you. You just have absolutely no opinions, no takes, no taste. I can't imagine him watching a movie. Can you imagine him watching something?
I don't know what he likes.
No.
Besides the Grateful Dead and doing drugs.
I know more about him and less about him.
But in terms of film, he did mention something. Oh, he did mention some filmmaker once. Who was it? He did say something that was actually like art house that shows that he probably did go to like a theater or knows something about cinema. And I forget what it was, but it was kind of I wouldn't say a deep cut, but something of like, you know, our parents wouldn't bring it up. And I forget what it was. So I believe that Brett in some way does like film. But I need to look at his filmography, because I don't know if he's in actual like real films or just like Adam McKay, like comedy and then just like bullshit for like the past decade.
I think it's the second thing.
It probably is bullshit.
I know that he's in Lemon, and I think that's like a comedy dramedy, but
yeah, I heard about that. I don't even know what that is. It's whatever.
There's this lemon, you see.
It's Lemon Party.
What are you, some kind of lemon?
What are you, some fucking lemon?
Some kind of Brett Gelman? Dude, his name is almost an anagram for lemon.
Brett Lemon. Caleb, I'm fucking dying right now. I need to shit so bad.
Oh, yeah?
And I want to go home.
Okay.
It is 5 in the fucking morning. And we've been recording since 10 yesterday.
I'm not making you keep talking.
I know I'm not. I know you're not. I need to sleep, genuinely. And we talked about so many movies, and then Brett Gelman is my asshole right now.
We are in a genuine delirium. We've been recording for almost 24 hours straight.
It's actually insane. I think I need to tap out here. I can't talk about Brett anymore.
I was going to say, I think I need to take a break from recording, but we can't afford to, because we're going to need to record new episodes in like a week.
Yeah. This is a lot. This is super a lot. And then we have to edit these.
we'll lock in someday.
One day. I mean, I feel like we did, but we just talked about so much.
We just had so much. There's so much on our plate. We need to aim smaller. We need to do episodes like Neurotica, where it's like, all right, this episode, I'm going to talk about that time that I put cocaine in my pussy.
That time that Caleb got me pregnant and I aborted it. My butt baby.
In the desert. And you fed me and fucked me.
That was bizarre. That was your delirium kicking in. That was the first sign where I said something is wrong.
We deserve a medal for how much we did make sense during this recording. Running on no sleep, drinking half a bottle of gin, 2 bottles of sake on basically empty stomachs.
Yeah. Oh my God.
All right. Patreon.com/YourOlderBrothers. We are on Instagram at Your Older Brothers Podcast. We are on TikTok at Your Older Brothers Podcast. We are on Elon's X, formerly known as Twitter, at Your Older Brothers. That is spelled U-R, Older Brothers, the letters U and then R. Did I leave anything out?
No, I don't think so.
Coffee's cold, the air is thick, my pulse is doing a magic trick, record skipping on the shelf, I can't keep this to myself, I've packed my bags on every shore, from mountain peaks to ocean floor, 100 nations slam the door, 9 more follow, this means war.
Phone was ringing, I guess this was the call, voice on the line saying, tomorrow towers fall, I offered up my baby, I gladly spilled the human ink and took my secret vow.
Persecution made me leave. I packed my bags for Tel Aviv. Don't criticize, I'll cause a scene. Daddy's Rolodex features Jeff Epstein.
I, professors fuck me. Let my brother touch me.
I let my banker love me. Let my father hump me.
I let the homeless fuck me. Let my agent spank me.
I love it when they rub me. Wish someone would fuck me unconsensually.
So I can kill their baby.
Can't wait to kill this life I grew
and exercise my right to choose.
Left in a quiet room, my choice alone. Heaviest weight some I've ever known. Abortion, dog, I love it so. Smear the blood all on my face, watch me glow. At the Seder table, I'm leaning to the left. Thinking about my choices, feeling quite bereft of any patriarchal laws that try to intervene. The most pro-choice girlie you've ever seen. It's not murder, it's not murder, it's not murder. Oh, whoa! It's not murder, it's not murder, it's not murder. Yeah, yeah! It's not murder, it's not murder, it's not murder. I'm sick! It's not murder, it's not murder.
My doctor calls my pussy the Gaza slit.